Chapter 118. What does it matter? As long as there are benefits, I won't stop you from dating. I think he doesn't mind being talked about. Anyway, he is such a hypocrite. He is the most upright man in the world. Why would he be afraid of being talked about? You promised me that as a man, you can't go back on your word. You've already made me a scapegoat. Why should I talk about my word with you? Anyway, Qin Baiyuan will not be played by you. Don't even think about kicking me for my adulterer. Shi Shujing was very anxious. I said I didn't do it for him. Even without him, I would insist on the divorce. I've been stupid enough for the past 3 years. Now that I've sobered up, I don't want to continue being stupid. There are many people out there who want to be Mrs. Qin. Can't I give up my position? I don't want a second or third woman to frame me with your child. I'm afraid of having nightmares at night. Are you saying that it's my fault? Qin Baiyuan had an incredulous look on his face. I say, Shi Shujing, even if you are shameless, you can't be so shameless. Now you're the one who is in the wrong and you're still putting the blame on me. Can't you reverse right and wrong? We've been married for 3 years. You know how I've treated you. Now you say that you've suddenly sobered up? Don't you think it's fake? At the end of the day, you just want to be with your adulterer. Enough. Qin Baiyuan raised his hand to stop her. Anyway, I won't divorce you now. Even if you go to Dad, I'll have the same attitude. Moreover, he is against our divorce. There's no way you can dump me. Every word was clearly and resolutely passed into Shi Shujing's ears. It made her feel despair, as if a hand was dragging her into the abyss, and she couldn't get rid of it. Did God like to play with people? When he wanted a divorce, she loved him foolishly. When she came to her senses, he went back on his words. At this moment, she even wanted to die. Shi Shujing walked out of the hotel disheartened. She stood on the street, not knowing where to go. She was very sad and her chest was stifled. She had a lot of emotions that she wanted to vent, but she didn't know who to talk to. She took out her phone and unknowingly found Si Wenqin's number. Her fingers danced on the screen for a long time, but in the end she couldn't muster up the courage to call. She didn't want to trouble him with her own matters. She should handle it herself. His phone rang. It was Gao Zhuqing calling. As soon as the call connected, her excited scream could be heard. I'm rich, I'm rich. Shi Shujing's mood was really terrible. Gao Zhuqing's excitement did not affect her. Her throat was still dry. She remained silent and listened to her cheering. The magazine sent me to the UK for an exclusive interview. That's great. He forced a smile. What kind of fortune is this? Why not? It's different this time. The round-trip flight to the UK is covered and I'm subsidized. I only need to do an exclusive interview. It's equivalent to the company spending money to invite me to travel. I'm so lucky. Do you want to go with me? Shi Shujing's heart was moved. Are you serious? You're a model worker. You're willing to leave your job? Are you kidding me? I just signed the contract. I don't have anything to do recently. I'm free. Unable to get a divorce, Shi Shujing was suffering in Flozhen City. Most importantly, she wanted to use this move to provoke Qin Baiyuan. Miracle, miracle. Then it's settled. I'll book a ticket for you now. I'll pick you up at 8 tomorrow morning. Whoever goes back on his word is a dog. After hanging up the phone, Shi Shujing touched the corner of her eyes. Her eyes were moist. That's it. She had to escape this place that made her suffer. 3 days ago, Si Wenqin arrived in the UK. When he got home, the maid took the luggage and said, Madam, young master is back. Little Qin, Yang Yizhou welcomed him happily and looked at her precious son. Are you too tired from work? You seem to have lost weight again. No. And you've gained 2 caddies. Si Wenqin's lips curled into a smile, revealing a set of white teeth. Yang Yizhou had been in England all year round and lived a comfortable and contented life. She had taken good care of herself. Her skin was fair and her facial features were exquisite. It was impossible to tell that she was in her 50s. She also had a graceful figure and was a very elegant lady. Oh, my son. Look, your cheeks are sunken in. How can you say you haven't lost weight? Didn't I remind you before you left? You must eat well. Don't ignore everything when you're busy. Your stomach isn't good. You have to eat on time. Got it? Si Wenqin teased. You're getting more and more long-winded. This child, you actually think your mother is long-winded. We only see each other a few times a year. How long can I be long-winded? Who asked you not to come with me to Flozhen City? I'm not going back. Yang Yizhou said childishly. There are too many cars and people there. The air is bad too. How can it compare to the UK? Also, there are those people I hate there. I'll be annoyed if I go back. Si Wenqin knew she was referring to his father's first wife. Alright, did you see him when you went back? Is he old? No. He's still the same as before. Little Qin, although I've divorced your father, you're still his flesh and blood. You still have to maintain a relationship with him. You'll inherit the Si family in the future. I've never thought of inheriting. Si Wenqin had said this dozens of times. He emphasized it again today. Ocean Group is developing well now. I don't need to rely on the Si family. Compared to inheriting the family business, I'd rather manage my own business. Mom knows you're capable, but your dad wants you to inherit too. Si Lifeng is capable, but she's still a woman. She's still at a disadvantage. It's better to leave the Si family to you. Didn't I tell you not to worry about those things? Find some friends to drink tea and chat when you're free. Don't think about those useless things. How is it useless? That's the Si family, it's not a joke. Alright, I got it. Let's not talk about this. Let's not talk about work first. Let's talk about your private life. What do you think? When are you getting married? Si Wenqin couldn't help but roll his eyes at the passionate and expectant gaze. You're doing it again. I just got home and you're chasing me away again? Of course not, but your marriage is very important. People say that you have a family and a career. Now that you have a career, when are you going to start a family? You're so well off. If you don't get married, people will gossip. Our neighbor across the street even asked me if you like men. I was so angry that I didn't talk to her for a few days. My son is so outstanding, how could he like men? Si Wenqin took a sip of tea and joked. There's no definite relationship between excellence and sexual orientation. It's normal that there are so many gay people in the UK. That's their business. My son can't be gay. Just tell me, when are you planning to get married? I'm not planning to get married at the moment. What about a girlfriend? Si Wenqin shrugged. Do you see me bringing people back? You're already so old and you still don't have a girlfriend. Don't tell me you still like that Tang Tang. Yang Yizhou's tone was rather aggrieved. That was so many years ago. Why are you still bringing it up? I'm just worried that you won't be able to forget your old love and it'll affect your search for a girlfriend. Oh, I suddenly remembered that some time ago, the news said that you and that Qin Baiyuan's wife were entangled. Is that true? Yang Yizhou's expression turned serious. You're not really flirting with someone else's wife, are you? That's very immoral. There were many things that Si Wenqin couldn't explain clearly, and he gave a perfunctory reply. No, the reporters are just spouting nonsense. That's good. Those paparazzi are very skilled. They'll find out about your identity sooner or later. The relationship between the Si and Qin family has always been very sensitive. You must not provoke the Qin family, understand? Got it. Si Wenqin narrowed his eyes. He had his own plans. When she divorced Qin Baiyuan, she would no longer be a member of the Qin family. Yang Yizhou confirmed repeatedly that Si Wenqin didn't have a woman he liked and suddenly suggested. The weather is so good today. Let's go out for afternoon tea. I just got off the plane. Can't you let your son rest? Young man, what are you afraid of? Wait for me. I'll go change and come out soon. At that time, Si Wenqin was still a little tired and didn't notice any clues. When they arrived at the restaurant, when Yang Yizhou accidentally met a mother and her daughter, he suddenly realized that his mother wanted to set him up for a blind date. Although Yang Yizhou showed a very surprised look, she tried to cover it up. Moreover, how could a son not understand his mother? Si Wenqin didn't expose her, he just stared at Yang Yizhou with a smile that wasn't a smile. He stared at her until her scalp went numb. She smiled awkwardly, meaning for him to accommodate her and have a good date. Of course, Yang Yizhou had good taste. The girl she introduced was good-looking and had a first-class figure. She also looked like a lady from a respectable family. Yang Yizhou was satisfied. But Si Wenqin's soul had already traveled across the ocean to a woman in Quicksand City. As he thought about it, his mouth unconsciously curved into a smile. Seeing him in a daze, Li Qianying asked shyly, "Brother Si, what are you thinking about? Are you listening to me?" She was usually not so reserved, but the other party was really too handsome. Her heart was beating wildly and she was so nervous that she almost suffocated. Si Wenqin came back to his senses. "Miss Lin, what did you say?" Li Qianying was very disappointed. "My surname is Li, not Lin." She had already fallen in love with him, but he couldn't even remember her surname. Could it be that she couldn't enter his eyes? But for a man like him, his standards had always been very high. It was understandable. This was a good opportunity that she wouldn't be able to encounter in several lifetimes. She must firmly grasp it. In order to express herself, Li Qianying kept chattering non-stop. But Si Wenqin didn't hear a single word. He hated noisy women and found them very annoying. He lit a cigarette and held it in his hand, gently holding his forehead. He didn't show any obvious impatience, but his attitude was there. But Li Qianying's mind was completely focused on pleasing him. Moreover, she was completely bewitched and didn't notice his attitude at all. This was what made Si Wenxin most disgusted. He didn't like stupid women. They didn't even know how to read people's expressions. They were really stupid. Chapter 119. Just as Li Qianying was rambling on and on, a woman's voice came from above her head. Auntie Wenxin, what a coincidence. Si Wenxin looked over. Tang Tang, who had disappeared for a few years, suddenly appeared. He was more or less startled. Yang Yizhou had already stood up in surprise. Tang Tang? Why are you here? When did you come back from Iraq? I just came back a few days ago. I didn't expect to meet you guys for afternoon tea. Tang Tang was tall and thin. She was wearing a white shirt and jeans. Coupled with her pretty short hair, she looked capable and refreshing, but she didn't lose her femininity. She was a beautiful and special woman. She could make people's eyes light up and be amazed. Li Qianying refused to admit that she had a feeling that she was inferior to Tang Tang. She was good in all aspects, but she seemed to lack a kind of charm compared to this woman called Tang Tang. She didn't have the appearance of a vixen, and she was very beautiful. As a woman she couldn't hate her, but she felt sour and a little jealous. Si Wenxin calmly accepted this chance encounter. Since you're here, let's have tea together. Li Qianying and her daughter were obviously not happy. Yang Yizhou was also a little embarrassed, but she did not say anything. Tang Tang, on the other hand, was very natural and unrestrained. This is not very good, right? I don't want to be a third wheel. We're just friends. Sit. Si Wenxin had already pulled out a chair. Li Qianying asked sourly. Brother Si, won't you introduce me? Tang Tang. Yang Yizhou saw that the situation was not going to work, so she simply gave up and chatted directly with Tang Tang. After all, no matter how she looked at it, the probability of Tang Tang becoming her daughter-in-law was relatively high. Although she had been brooding over his willful breakup years ago, it was all in the past, and it was meaningless to bicker over it. She had always felt that her son did not look for a girlfriend because he had Tang Tang in his heart. If she could stay, she would let bygones be bygones and let them get married. Thinking of this, Yang Yizhou's attitude towards Tang Tang became warmer. You have been in Iraq for the past few years? How dangerous was it for a girl to be on the battlefield every day? She must not have taken good care of herself, right? I think you've lost weight. Have you lost weight? I'll just take it as a diet. Don't you see that I'm very healthy? You won't be leaving this time, right? How dangerous is it to be a war correspondent? You're not young anymore, right? Hurry and get married. Yang Yizhou doted on her from the bottom of her heart. She was well behaved, just a little too casual. We'll see. You guys take your time. We'll be leaving first. Si Wenxin stubbed out his cigarette and stood up. Seeing that Tang Tang was still sitting, he gave her a look, and she had no choice but to stand up as well. Then, Auntie, I'll visit you another day. Yang Yizhou and Li Qianying were left staring at each other. Once they left the restaurant, Tang Tang started to complain. You're really a good friend. It's the first time we meet in a few years and you're already using me as a tool. Looks like I'll have to be careful when I make friends in the future. Actually, Si Wenxin was quite happy to reunite with an old friend. He did not have many friends and Tang Tang was his only female friend. They were very close, and even though they had been apart for a few years, it did not affect them at all. How have you been these few years? It's a long story. If you're free, come to my place and we can talk. I'm staying at the hotel next door. Okay. The two entered the hotel room and Tang Tang took off his coat. Have a seat first. What do you want to drink? Is whiskey okay? Up to you. Tang Tang took a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses and walked to the living room. Si Wenxin was sitting on the sofa, smoking. He was dressed in black, tall and straight, with broad shoulders and long legs. He had a cool temperament, and his facial features were deep and handsome. His long and narrow pupils were very shallow, as if there was a thin layer of mist rippling in his eyes. The smoke was lingering between his fingers. Such a scene had appeared in Tang Tang's dreams countless times. Suddenly, it became a reality and she was stunned for a moment. She knew that she still loved this man, otherwise she would not be so captivated by him. It was still the same eyes and brows in her memory. Time did not leave any traces on his face, but it had given him a gift. It had precipitated a man's calmness and restraint, and he was even more outstanding than before. Tang Tang came back to her senses and walked over. Didn't I tell you to smoke less? Why are you smoking more fiercely than before? I just counted 4 cigarette butts in your ashtray. Isn't that because she's annoying me? Si Wenchen leaned forward and flicked the ash off his cigarette. You know, I don't like women who talk too much. The blind date was arranged by Auntie, right? You still don't have a girlfriend? If people knew that the great boss C was so desperate to be arranged for a blind date, many women would definitely commit suicide. Are you that nobody wants you? Or do you have some hidden illness? Tang Tang teased and shook her head. She poured 2 glasses of whiskey and passed it to him. Si Wenchen extinguished the cigarette butt, took the glass and took a sip. What hidden illness could I have? I don't know about that. For example, you suddenly changed your sexual orientation or something. He laughed. Nonsense. You still don't have a girlfriend? I don't have time. If a man wants to have a girlfriend, he can definitely squeeze out the time, unless he doesn't want to. Don't tell me that you have a shadow in your heart after being hurt by me? Or are you still deeply in love with me? Please don't, I can't bear that kind of responsibility. Si Wenchen knew that she was joking, but he did not take it to heart. He and Tang Tang had dated for a few months, but after they broke up, he realized that they were more suitable as friends. After all, there were not many women who could understand his heart. It was very comfortable to talk to Tang Tang, and they had also experienced an important period of time together. This relationship would never change. Let's not talk about me. Have you been in Iraq for the past few years? No. After the US withdrew, I went to Afghanistan and Libya. Last year I was in Syria and stayed for more than a year. I just came back a few days ago. It's not safe for a girl to risk her life in a sea of bullets all day long. I don't need you to say that. Tang Tang pulled down one side of her collar. Look at this scar. It's left by a bullet. There are a few more on my body. But I'm also considered lucky. I have a brush with death every time. Is it because my life is so tough that even death doesn't dare to take me in? If Si Wenchen saw this, his heart would definitely ache. When he was studying in England, Tang Tang was a junior a few years younger than him. She majored in media and was a very hot-blooded and hard-working woman. There was no lack of hot-blooded youths in this world, but most of them only shouted slogans. It was rare to see someone who could put it into practice and bravely go to war, let alone a woman. He admired and even admired her bravery. You've had enough of that kind of life. You should settle down. You mean you want me to get married and have children? Ah, that's the dream of most people, not mine. If I was willing to be a housewife, why would I break up with you in the first place? I'm probably the only one in history who dared to dump Boss C. The others must think that I'm crazy. But this is also good. What you can't have is the best. It can make you remember it for life. Tang Tang thought silently in her heart. This was enough. Even if they could not be together, as long as she could occupy a little place in his heart, she would have no regrets in this life. Even though God was cruel to her, at least she met him, right? She would just take it that she had used all the luck in her life to meet him. She was willing to do so. Just as she was lost in thought, the doorbell rang. Tang Tang stood up. The lunch I ordered is here. It wasn't easy for me to have afternoon tea, but you ruined it. I'm so hungry. I'm going to the washroom. Help yourself. As soon as Tang Tang opened the door, he was stunned. It wasn't a delivery man, but a young and lively girl. Hello. I'm the reporter in charge of your interview, Gao Zhuqing. From boarding to getting off the plane, Gao Zhuqing was talking to himself. Sure, Shujing was always absent-minded, worrying about the divorce all the way. She thought that she would be able to relax after escaping from Flozen City. Only after she left did she realize that what she really wanted to escape was not a certain place, but a person. Even if she left, those annoying things would still follow her like a shadow, and she could not get rid of them no matter what. When they arrived at the hotel, Gao Zhuqing saw her dejected look and couldn't stand it anymore. Look at you, I was kind enough to bring you out to play, but you still gave me that face. Do you have any humanity? When did I give you a face? Why not? You were listless the whole way. Today is my good day and you're too unlucky. Either smile or go back by yourself. Seeing your bitter face makes me uncomfortable too. Then I'm leaving. Hey. You're really leaving? Gao Zhuqing quickly pulled her back. I'm joking with you. Me too. Gao Zhuqing asked as the two of them packed their luggage separately. I really don't know what's bothering you. If it was me, I'd be jumping for joy if I met a good man like Boss C. But you're still frowning all day long. I really don't know if water has entered your brain. This is called, you don't know how lucky you are. If you don't grasp it well, you'll be punished by heaven. Sure, Shujing smiled bitterly and couldn't help but sigh that this world was full of people who envied each other. But who could understand the real bitterness in her heart? She could only hide it. Many times she envied Gao Zhuqing. He was a carefree person, fighting for his dreams and doing what he really loved. Although he was single, he was very happy. But it was useless to continue worrying like this, and it would even affect other people's mood. Shi Shujing reluctantly put her worries aside and cheered up. "Oh yes, which big shot did you come to England to interview this time?" "Aha! You're finally concerned about me?" Gao Zhuqing stuffed his clothes and ran over with a few magazines. He pointed at a black and white photo excitedly. "There. It's the woman who took this photo." The background of the photo was a war. A black boy was crying in the smoke. The tears in his eyes immediately grabbed hold of Shi Shujing's heart. "Her name is Tang Tang. She's a British Chinese. She's been a war reporter for a few years. She goes wherever it's dangerous. She exposes the dark side of war and reflects the suffering of the locals. Although I'm also a reporter, I definitely can't be as great as her. I'm afraid of death and I don't have the guts. I'm really lucky to be able to interview her. She's really admirable. When is the interview? Can I sit in?" Chapter 120. Gao Zhuqing took a shower and went to the hotel excitedly. She was about to meet her idol. She was as excited as a little fan. She waited at the door for a long time before she mustered up the courage to ring the doorbell. The person on the other side opened the door with flowers. Gao Zhuqing's first impression of Tang Tang was that she was even more beautiful than in the photos. She was capable and smart, and her skin was sparkling and translucent. She looked like a porcelain doll. As a woman, Gao Zhuqing felt that she was about to fall in love with her. Tang Tang took the flowers and shook hands with her. "Hello. I'm Tang Tang. Isn't the interview the day after tomorrow?" "Yes. I'm staying in the same hotel as you, so I came to say hello." As he spoke, a familiar figure flashed past Gao Zhuqing's eyes. "Si Wenxin? Why was he here?" Gao Zhuqing was sure that she was not mistaken. However, the other party did not see her. "What's wrong?" "No, nothing." "Then I won't disturb your rest. See you the day after tomorrow." Gao Zhuqing disappeared like a wisp of smoke. Shi Shujing had just finished her shower when she heard a loud bang. Gao Zhuqing rushed in. "What's wrong? Someone is after you?" "No. Guess who I saw in Tang Tang's room?" "Who? The president?" "The president? Who's joking with you?" "I saw Si Wenxin." Shi Shujing was stunned. "Are you sure?" "Of course not. How many outstanding men are there? How can I be wrong? It must be him. Tell me, how did they end up together?" Shi Shujing felt a little upset, but she tried to let it go. "Maybe it's because of work." "How is that possible? One is a senior executive of the Ocean Group, and the other is a female reporter. They have nothing to do with each other." "Friends?" "Well, maybe they were boyfriend and girlfriend, or maybe they were ex-boyfriend and girlfriend. I heard from some sources that Tang Tang had a boyfriend before, but they broke up because she wanted to go to Iraq. Do you think it could be Boss C?" "I don't know." Shi Shujing's mind was in a mess. The more he thought about it, the more upset he became. "Their relationship has nothing to do with me." "How is it unrelated? Isn't Boss C chasing after you? If he's two-timing, that's too bad. Although rich men do that, I always feel that he's different from them. If he's the same, then I'm disappointed. Although they were both wearing clothes, if they were just chatting, did they have to go to a hotel? Their relationship is really suspicious." Shi Shujing was irritated by her words. "What's the use of guessing here? Who knows what their relationship is? How about, you give him a call? Do you think I have the right to ask him?" "Why not? He's chasing after you. You have to figure it out. I'm not asking you to ask him directly. Just beat around the bush and ask him where he is. Let's see what he says." "I don't want to call." "But, stop it." Shi Shujing interrupted her. "Anyway, who he is with has nothing to do with me. I don't want to talk about him anymore." Gao Zhuqing shrugged and kept quiet. But Shi Shujing's attitude also made her sure that she had feelings for Si Wenxin. Otherwise, she wouldn't have lost her temper. This was normal. Which woman could be indifferent to Si Wenxin's pursuit? Even if it was a rock, it could warm him up. There was no point in making wild guesses now. She would see if she could dig out some information from Tang Tang the day after tomorrow. Tang Tang placed the bouquet and came over. Si Wenxin was staring at his phone in a daze. There was a hesitation in his eyes that she had never seen before. She was shocked to see that expression on him. Si Wenxin had always been a decisive man. He would do whatever he said. And the thing that made him hesitate was obviously not work matters but women. Her heart felt as if it was stabbed by a knife. It hurt. When she chose to break up with him, she had expected this day to come. She was just very selfishly praying that this day would not come so soon. When she heard that he didn't have a girlfriend, she was a little happy. But she forgot that not having a girlfriend didn't mean that he didn't have a woman he liked. She walked towards him. Every step was like stepping on thorns. Her heart was bleeding, but she still maintained a smile on her face. Since you miss her, why don't you call her? Maybe she is also waiting for your call. Si Wenxin kept his phone and did not say a word. As soon as he got off the plane, he wanted to call her. But subconsciously, he hoped that she could take the initiative to contact him. Sometimes men could be very awkward. They would treat their relationship as a tug of war. It made a difference who took the initiative. He hoped that she could take the initiative once in a while. Who is the lucky one? Si Wenxin lit a cigarette and smiled without saying a word. Tang Tang was the woman who understood him the best. He never hid anything from her, nor could he hide anything from her. Is it that Mrs. Qin who had a rumor with you some time ago? Si Wenxin joked. A war reporter also has the time to read gossip news? I only saw it when I returned to China. The impact is too big. It has been in the headlines all the time. It should be her. You have always been low-key and cautious. When did your taste become so heavy? You like someone's wife? Auntie will go crazy if she knows. Liking is liking. It doesn't make sense. Si Wenxin took a puff and said lightly. I like her as a person, not her identity. I don't care whose wife she is. What's the difference between you and a bandit? It's just like how the United States started a war with Iraq. I hate this kind of behavior. It's not as serious as you say. She will divorce her husband. So, you've decided that she's the type who can get married. I don't have such a long-term plan for now. However, I can't rule out this possibility. This basically meant that they would get married. All they needed was the woman's consent. It was as if a sledgehammer had hit Tang Tang's brain. There was a buzzing sound in his ears and his mind went blank. It was an indescribable discomfort. He could only hide it deep in his heart, afraid that he would notice it. If she didn't break up with him back then, would they be married now? At this stage, thinking about what-ifs would only add to the pain. He forced a smile. She must be a very charming woman. Introduce her to me some other day. I'm very curious. If there's a chance? Si Wenxin fell into deep thought and didn't say anything. It was late at night. Shi Shujing tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Her mind was heavy. Gao Zhuqing, who was in the next bed, kept talking in his sleep. Tossing and turning like this made her very irritated. She secretly got up in the dark and walked to the balcony. Only then did she realize that she had subconsciously taken out her phone. Was she going to call someone? Shi Shujing's heart skipped a beat. Call him? What should she say? In what capacity did she have to ask about his relationship with another woman? Between them it was just a one-night mistake. She was no one to him. But in her heart, why was she always entangled with that question? Just then her phone rang, startling her. On the screen the words Si Wenxin were flashing. It burned Shi Shujing's fingers and her whole body felt hot. She didn't know if this was called telepathy. When she was thinking about him, he was also thinking about her. The phone rang a few times before she suddenly came to her senses. She pressed the call button and brought the phone to her ear. She could hear his breathing on the other end. It was low and very steady. Suddenly, a sense of familiarity came over her. The hotel was very high and she could see the night view of the whole of London in the distance. It was bustling like a dream. Being in a foreign country suddenly made her feel strange and a little subtle. Are you at work? Only then did Shi Shujing remember that he didn't know that she was also in England. Did I disturb you? No, not really. What's the matter? It's nothing, I just miss you. He could say that he missed her so naturally, as if he was expressing his true feelings as if they were in a relationship. But Shi Shujing couldn't. She was a woman with many concerns. With so many complicated relationships, even if others didn't say anything, she could still entangle herself to death. Her heartbeat was a little out of whack. In the end, she didn't know how to answer and could only say, What about you? Did you miss me? Shi Shujing's ears were burning. She steadied her breathing and answered in a very unromantic manner. I'm busy with work and don't have the time to think about other things. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. You really don't miss me? I've already said that I don't have that much time. Woman, you're really cold-blooded. To think that I've been thinking about you. His voice sounded like he was smiling yet not smiling. He had always been very secretive and no one could tell what he was really feeling. You're a noble and busy person, so you don't have to worry about me. Shi Shujing's words were laced with jealousy. He let out 2 deep laughs. Who provoked you? Shi Shujing thought, who else could it be? You're asking even though you already know the answer. It's really annoying to put on an act. No one provoked me. I just don't know what's good for me. You know that too? But I just like how you don't know what's good for you. Bossy. Shi Shujing put on a serious expression. If there's something, please get to the point. This kind of strange phone call is delaying my working time. Not everyone has so much free time like you. After provoking this person, you come to tease that person. Who did I provoke? Who did I tease this time? I'm just saying it casually. It's just an example. Don't take it personally. You're so bold now that you dare to talk back to me? Sooner or later I'll pluck out all the thorns on your body. He gritted his teeth as he spoke. Shi Shujing felt a surge of frustration in his heart that he couldn't vent out. He bit his lips and didn't say a word. I'm sorry. I'm just not to your liking. You should go and find someone more docile. Shi Shujing hung up the phone. When he came back to his senses, he realized that he was actually so daring to hang up Si Wenqin's call. She was really courting death. She had wanted to talk nicely, but when she heard his voice and how calm and composed he was, she couldn't help but feel angry. As she spoke, her words became more and more off-topic. It sounded like a quarrel between lovers. She was crazy. She was crazy. What kind of anger was she holding back? Was there something wrong with her brain? What did it have to do with her which woman he was with? Chapter 121. The next day, Shi Shujing and Gao Zhuqing toured the UK together. On the surface they were laughing and joking. Shi Shujing also had a good time, but in her heart she kept thinking about Si Wenqin. He did not call her that day and she did not know if he was angered by her. On the 3rd day she had to do an interview with Tang Tang. Shi Shujing was in a dilemma. She wanted to see Tang Tang with her own eyes, but she felt that it was not necessary. In the end she was forced to go by Gao Zhuqing. The interview was held in Tang Tang's room. As soon as the door was opened, Tang Tang's name was Shi Shujing, and her eyes lit up. She was indeed a very beautiful woman, very charming. Needless to say, her figure was a very healthy kind of figure. Her legs were especially long, and wearing jeans made her buttocks look very pretty. A beautiful woman, even if she only wore a white shirt, had a very elegant temperament. Shi Shujing subconsciously compared herself with her, and felt a little inferior. Even if there was not much difference in appearance and figure, the gap in experience was there. She was a brave war reporter, very great, and what was she? She was just an ordinary office worker working from 9 to 5 every day. There were a lot of people in the country, and there was no sense of superiority to speak of. Hello, Miss Tang, this is my colleague, Shi Shujing, responsible for the recording work. Tang Tang nodded, and his eyes stayed on her for a short while. Please come in. As soon as she entered the room, Shi Shujing subconsciously looked around. Gao Zhuqing pulled her. Why are you in a daze? Gao Zhuqing sat next to Tang Tang, and Shi Shujing sat opposite them, making simple records with a pen and paper. Gao Zhuqing asked a lot of questions, deepening Shi Shujing's understanding of Tang Tang. After knowing that she had experienced life and death and difficulties, she admired this woman from the bottom of her heart, and felt more and more ashamed. Only such a brave and unique woman was worthy of Si Wenqin, right? As for herself, even if he treated her a little more specially, she shouldn't expect herself to be the one and only. Let's end the question about work first. Many readers are also very concerned about your private life. You are not married yet, right? Do you have a partner to marry? I think for the next few years my focus should still be on work. I won't consider marriage for the time being. I grew up abroad, so my views are not very traditional. I don't think that women must get married and have children. I heard you have an ex-boyfriend? Gao Zhuqing winked at Shi Shujing. It seems very mysterious. Is he the only boyfriend you've ever dated? Yes. Someone who can win your heart must be very special, right? Tang Tang smiled. He's a mature and charming man. We used to be in the same school. He's my senior. You graduated from London University, didn't you? Yes. Shi Shujing was stunned. Si Wenqin also graduated from London University. So, he was the ex-boyfriend? His fingers holding the pen tightened and drew a long line on the notebook. So you're from the same school. How enviable. Then why did you break up? Tang Tang's smile froze and became slightly bitter. He fell into deep thought and only answered after a long while. Not every pair of people who love each other will be able to be together. Many often die without any cause. There are many things in the world that can't be helped. We can only treat regret as a kind of beauty. Then do you still keep in touch? We still keep in touch. We can't be lovers, but we can still be friends. It can be considered a kind of compensation. The jealousy in Shi Shujing's heart intensified. For any woman, the most intolerable existence was an ex-girlfriend. It was like a thorn stuck in their throat, making them uncomfortable all the time. No woman in the world could tolerate their boyfriend and ex-girlfriend being friends, let alone good friends. In this aspect, women were very narrow-minded. They could not wait for their boyfriend and ex-girlfriend to never contact each other again. Shi Shujing? Gao Zhuqing called her a few times before she came back to her senses in a hurry. She was a little absent-minded. What did you say? The interview is over. How's your record? Gao Zhuqing took the notebook and took a look. He wrote down 10 sentences and a horizontal line ran through the notebook. Shi Shujing lowered her head. Gao Zhuqing did not say anything and was still smiling. It's lunchtime. Let's have lunch together? Sure. Tang Tang agreed readily. You guys go ahead. I'll go back and sort out the record. Shi Shujing quickly snatched the notebook and stuffed it into her bag. I'll go back first. What's the hurry? It's not too late to sort it out after lunch. Gao Zhuqing did not like Shi Shujing to escape at the last minute. It was not like he was inferior to Tang Tang. What was there to escape? I have no appetite. Shi Shujing pushed her hand away and left quickly. Gao Zhuqing had no choice but to go for lunch with Tang Tang. At the same time, she wanted to find out more about the past between Tang Tang and Si Wenxin. She wanted to find evidence to prove that Si Wenxin was Tang Tang's ex-boyfriend. Tang Tang teased. Miss Gao seems to be very interested in me and my ex-boyfriend? I'm a reporter. I like to get to the bottom of things. Please don't mind me. Compared to work, the readers are more curious about your gossip. But don't worry, I'm a professional. If you don't want me to report it, I won't write it. I'm just curious. Who is your ex-boyfriend? Zhao Yu thought. Can you tell me secretly? In order to gain her trust, she raised her palm and swore. I promise I won't tell anyone. Gao Zhuqing tried very hard to find out from Tang Tang whether her ex-boyfriend was Si Wenxin. But Tang Tang shook her head. I don't want to talk about the past. Just take it as keeping it a secret for him. Let's skip this topic, okay? Since she had said so, Gao Zhuqing was too embarrassed to continue asking. After being a reporter for so many years, she was still very sensitive. From Tang Tang's words and attitude, she could more or less infer that Tang Tang was the one who took the initiative to break up with her. Moreover, she had her own difficulties behind it, and it was definitely not as simple as work. At this time, Tang Tang's phone rang. Oh, I'm at the restaurant. Are you nearby? All right, then come over here. Tang Tang hung up the phone and asked Gao Zhuqing. I have a friend coming over later. Is it okay? It's okay. Gao Zhuqing secretly hoped that the person who came was Si Wenxin. As she expected, it was him. Facing such a coincidence, Si Wenxin did not seem to be surprised and sat down calmly. Boss Si, what a coincidence. You know each other? Yes. I was the one who did the interview with Boss Si. Oh, I see. Tang Tang nodded. She was a little regretful that she asked Si Wenxin to come. She just didn't want to miss the opportunity to meet him, so she asked him to come to the restaurant. She didn't expect that the two of them knew each other. Gao Zhuqing was a smart woman. She could roughly see through their relationship at a glance. She originally wanted to hide it, but she didn't expect it to be exposed so easily. Halfway through, Tang Tang went to the washroom, leaving Gao Zhuqing and Si Wenxin sitting face to face. She dared to tease. The world is really small. After such a big circle, Boss Si and Tang Tang actually know each other. Her words were a little sarcastic. Although she really wanted to help Si Wenxin get promoted, Shi Shujing was her best friend. She had always been on Shi Shujing's side. No matter whether Si Wenxin and Tang Tang still had feelings for each other, it made her very unhappy. She couldn't help but make a few sarcastic remarks. Before, I thought Boss Si was interested in our Shujing. Now it seems that I thought too much. I didn't know the relationship between Boss Si and Miss Tang before, and I even made the wrong match. I'm really sorry. Si Wenxin took a sip of his coffee without revealing anything. When he put the coffee cup back on the plate, his lips uttered an indifferent voice. I don't have any misunderstanding about Shi Shujing's intentions. His tone was indifferent, but at the same time, it was also firm and his eyes were like torches. Gao Zhuqing didn't expect that he would respond in this way. She was stunned for a moment. It seemed that he was determined to get her. A man who didn't waver and was not aloof was very charming. She admired this kind of decisive man. However, Tang Tang still made her feel like a fishbone in her throat. So, Boss C wants to have 2 women in his arms? Gao Zhuqing said very directly. Probably because he knew that Si Wenxin liked Shi Shujing, he suddenly straightened his back and dared to say anything. Indeed, with Boss C's identity, it's normal for him to deal with 2 women at the same time. However, Shujing is very simple. Once she makes up her mind, she won't change her mind. She can't afford to play these dangerous games. If Boss C just treats her as one of his female companions, then I hope Boss C will be merciful and let Shi Shujing go. Her courage was very big, much bigger than that of Shi Shujing. Her words were full of sarcasm and were very unpleasant to hear. However, at this moment, Si Wenxin didn't consider whether she had offended him, but he was happy that Shi Shujing had such a friend around him. Shi Shujing was a soft person. He often didn't dare to say anything and was easily bullied. He couldn't protect her all the time, so he would feel more at ease if there was one more person to protect her. Thinking of this, Si Wenxin's attitude also softened a little and he smiled lightly. I'll remember what reporter Gao said. His tone didn't seem to be mocking her for being nosy. Instead, it really felt like he was humbly accepting advice. This was both unexpected to Gao Zhuqing and within her expectations. How could such a high-ranking man like Si Wenxin be narrow-minded and care about a small woman like her? If it were Qin Baiyuan, he would have been so angry that he would have scolded her on the street. She was really ungracious to the extreme. Isn't the gap between 2 men revealed? Gao Zhuqing really thought that if Shi Shujing chose Qin Baiyuan, he must be crazy. She must break off the friendship with a moron, or she would die of anger sooner or later. She looked at Si Wenxin, who was wearing a fitted dark shirt, casual and formal, exuding a noble temperament. Chapter 122. Tang Tang had already come out from the washroom. Gao Zhuqing had an impulse and said, I'm not alone this time. I'm also staying in this hotel. But I have a date with a friend tonight, so I might not go back. She stopped here. Seeing Si Wenxin squinting his eyes, he must have understood what she meant. What are you guys talking about? Tang Tang sat down. Nothing much. I'm just interviewing Boss C on the way. I have another appointment. You guys take your time. Gao Zhuqing stood up with a sly smirk on her face. She admired herself for digging such a good person. It was more comfortable when there were only the 2 of them. Tang Tang spoke with fervor and assurance, but Si Wenxin's heart was already in a mess. He couldn't wait to fly to Shi Shujing and couldn't help but interrupt Tang Tang. I'll send you back to your room. As he spoke, he stood up. Tang Tang thought that he thought the restaurant was too noisy and wanted to go back to his room to talk. Who knew that when they reached the door, Si Wenxin wanted to leave. Aren't you going in? I still have some business to deal with. Si Wenxin was a little anxious now, but his face was still cold. Rest early. Tang Tang felt a little disappointed. Shi Shujing had just finished his bath and was still drying his body in the bathroom when the doorbell suddenly rang. Coming, coming. She ran out with one hand wrapped in a bath towel and opened the door without even looking. I'm taking a bath. Why didn't you bring your room card again? It's like this every time. Shi Shujing had lived with Gao Zhuqing for a long time in the past, so he didn't have any scruples. The light orange sunlight shone on her body. Her back was so curvaceous and exquisite, as if she had bathed in milk. Her skin was very white. Si Wenxin looked at her beautiful body greedily, and his throat moved a little. Why aren't you talking? Shi Shujing turned around and suddenly saw Si Wenxin standing straight in front of him. He was petrified, his face stiff and his eyes wide open. For a moment, the 2 of them faced each other. Si Wenxin's gaze was sluggish, and a blazing light gradually flashed in his eyes. Ah! Shi Shujing shrieked. He was flustered and did not know what to do. You, how could it be you? Her face was flushed and she bit her lips in shame and indignation. She was so nervous that she couldn't speak coherently. Si Wenxin was still admiring the beautiful scenery greedily, and his breathing became more rapid. You are not allowed to look. Shi Shujing was so anxious that he stomped his feet. Not allowed to look? The corner of Si Wenxin's mouth lifted, revealing a smile. Is there anything I haven't seen? Isn't it too late to talk about this now? Was that the gift you prepared for our reunion after a long separation? I like it very much. Si Wenxin's smile was wicked and his eyes were burning. Nonsense. How did I know you were coming? Who let you in? Gao Zhuqing. Only she would betray her teammate like this. Shi Shujing was annoyed and wanted to fight with her. He was so angry that his whole body was trembling. Why didn't you tell me when you came to England? What's your relationship with me? Why should I tell you? Shi Shujing was so angry that he raised his head and fought back. What's my relationship with you? Do you need me to answer you again? Si Wenchen took a step forward, and Shi Shujing immediately took 2 or 3 steps back. Don't come over. She was only wrapped in a bath towel and nothing else. She felt very insecure. She held the towel tightly for fear that it would suddenly fall. Get out? Get out? Do you think I came all the way here just to hear this sentence from you? Si Wenchen let out a deep laugh. After not seeing her for a few days, he knew that he missed this woman very much, but when he saw her, he realized that he missed her more than he thought. He missed her so intensely because he liked her, but because he liked her too much, he couldn't treat her like other women. He was a beast, but he couldn't bear to hurt his little prey. Such complicated feelings seemed to be tormented all the time, and it was very uncomfortable. That kind of feeling was really torturous. It made his 5 viscera and 6 bowels feel as if they were entangled together and couldn't be separated. Even his heart was aching. However, in this, there was a kind of masochistic pleasure, as if he was thirsty for blood. You can't. You didn't? Shi Shujing mumbled incoherently. You don't have the right to enter other people's room. Why not? It was your friend who personally invited me here, and she said that she wouldn't be back tonight. So, Si Wenchen curled his lips, revealing a row of white teeth, neat and beautiful, but like the fangs of a beast, it was frightening. So, tonight we have the whole night. As soon as this sentence fell, Shi Shujing panicked. Si Wenchen was even more dangerous at night, and now there were only the 2 of them in the room. If he wanted to do anything, she couldn't resist. Of course, she wouldn't naively believe that Si Wenchen's "take it slow" meant that he really wouldn't take any action. Being with him was not safe at any time. Her eyes revealed that kind of panic again, and Si Wenchen knew that he scared her again. He wasn't a devil, so of course he didn't want his little baby to be afraid of him. It was just that the visual impact was too shocking, so he couldn't hold it in and acted a little impatient, scaring her. Although all the cells in his body were clamoring, Si Wenchen still suppressed it. He pulled a chair and sat down. In order to calm down, he lit a cigarette and began to smoke, repeating the question just now. Why didn't you tell me that you're coming to England? There's no need. Why is there no need? Why isn't there a need? Shi Shujing asked back like a tongue twister. Don't think that just because we had a wrong night, we have established some kind of relationship. I have to report to you wherever I go and whatever I do. You don't have that right and I don't have that obligation. Then what kind of relationship do we have to establish? Si Wenchen asked with great interest. Sign a contract in black and white? Stipulate that you're my woman and I'm your man? Who's your woman? You're you and I'm me. There's no relationship at all. Every word of Shi Shujing was sonorous and clear. Her little mouth was like a small cannon that kept talking, which made her look very interesting to Si Wenchen. When we were in the hospital, you didn't have this kind of attitude. Why did it change when you came to England? Could it be that you're jealous? Shi Shujing seemed to have been pricked by a needle, and she was so anxious that she almost jumped up. You're talking nonsense. What jealous? What jealous? Don't spout nonsense. Si Wenchen took a long drag on his cigarette, and when he slowly exhaled a mouthful of smoke, he ridiculed her. Do you know what you look like right now? You have a guilty conscience. If you're not jealous, why are you in such a hurry to deny it? If you don't have it, it's fake and I won't be telling the truth. If you do, it's useless to deny it. He held the cigarette between 2 fingers and pointed at her, amused. Your expression has completely betrayed you. After all, we've been working on this project for 2 years. How can you be so impatient? Do I really have that much influence on you? Shi Shujing opened her mouth and wanted to refute, but she realized that she couldn't even say a word. She had lost because her emotions were indeed too agitated just now. Perhaps he was testing her on purpose, and she foolishly fell into his trap. Now she didn't even have a chance to quibble. At this time, the one who spoke in a high-pitched tone was completely at a disadvantage. But she was inexperienced, so how could she fight against a cunning fox? This was an unfair confrontation. But Shi Shujing didn't want to lose too badly. Because of this, she calmed herself down and began to put on the mask from before. Boss C came to my room at this time just to slander me? Isn't it too much time? Slander? Then tell me, why are you covered in thorns? Do I? Put yourself in someone else's shoes and they keep pestering you, saying some very boring things. Can you still treat them nicely? I just think that since it's just a cooperative relationship, Boss C directly came to my door and said some things that have nothing to do with work. It's very impolite and no one would like it. Si Wenshin pondered for a moment. I always knew that you didn't mean what you said, but I didn't expect you to become more and more arrogant. Have you been spoiled by me? The word spoiled made Sure Shujing shiver all over, and a layer of fine goosebumps appeared. I can tolerate a woman's little temper, but I'm not the kind without a bottom line. Do you understand? Sure Shujing retorted sarcastically. That's funny. Boss C came to my door for no reason and said some strange things to me, saying that I'm throwing a tantrum. How did I throw a tantrum? I didn't say any disrespectful words to you, but you know that you're not welcome here and yet you still come here. Don't you think it's a bit too much? This isn't your turf. Si Wenshin smiled in a low voice. In fact, this hotel is one of the properties under my name. Sure Shujing frowned. So what? I'm a guest here and I have the right to decide who to entertain. This room was arranged by the magazine for Gao Zhuqing, and only her name was registered. To be precise, as long as I get her consent, I can even stay here overnight. You? Sure Shujing was sullen. What good temper and self-control. To hell with it. He was like a little hen whose feathers were standing on end. Then I'll leave, okay? As she said that, she was about to pack her luggage. Si Wenshin walked over in a few steps and grabbed her wrist. With a little force, he turned her whole body around and forced her to face him. She grabbed the bathrobe with one hand, and the other hand was clamped by him. She was completely at a disadvantage and twisted twice in annoyance. Let go of me. Si Wenshin was much taller than her, but his body was strong. He completely shrouded her in his shadow. He was tall and slender and his arms were full of strength. Just a little force was enough to make her unable to move. Every time she struggled, it only made herself sink deeper into his strong chest. This knowledge made Sure Shujing's heart burn with anger, but his voice was surprisingly cold. Boss C, please let go. She couldn't provoke him, but couldn't she hide from him? What did he mean by holding her like this and not letting go? How long do you want to throw a tantrum? Can't you just listen to me? Chapter 123. Why do I have to listen to your words? Furthermore, I'm not throwing a tantrum. Right now, the person who is grabbing onto me is you. Don't tell me that I'm throwing a tantrum by asking you to let go of me? What kind of logic is this? Don't you know that I'm here to give you an explanation? Explain what? There's no misunderstanding between us, there's nothing to explain. Let go of me. His grip became tighter and his face was already less than 2 centimeters away from hers. His handsome face was a little blurry, but that pair of dark and deep pupils were becoming clearer and sharper. However, there was a trace of viciousness hidden in them. The domineering aura belonging to a man was scattered all over her face and he could feel her gently trembling in his arms. She was just a timid little rabbit. She was so weak, but she still wanted to wave her claws and pretend to be a little wild cat, desperately trying to protect herself. But he had never thought of hurting her, never. She was always unwilling to obediently let him feel pain. This was something that Si Wenshin didn't like at all. This was the first time in his life that he wanted to be good to a woman, but she didn't appreciate it. Did he have to spank her before she would be obedient? In the midst of Sure Shujing's impatient struggle, the towel on her head fell off and her black hair fell down, messy and lazy. A few strands of hair stuck to her cheeks and her white skin revealed a rosy glow, charming and beautiful. Don't move, baby. His black eyes narrowed as Si Wenshin held onto the back of her head. His thin lips slowly moved closer to her and his hoarse voice softly coaxed her. Just like this, be good. When Sure Shujing heard his voice and his deep breathing, her heart was beating wildly. She clearly wanted to push him away, but her body seemed to be frozen and she didn't dare to move at all. Her cheeks started to heat up and her head started to feel dizzy. Baby, I've missed you, Si Wenshin murmured as he gently covered her lips and pulled her body towards him. Sure Shujing's eyes widened. He was startled at first and passively accepted the kiss. But very soon he was melted by the tenderness. His whole body was sore and limp, and he couldn't muster any strength to resist. Her breath was squeezed out by his clean and cool breath. The air became thin and she almost couldn't breathe. She felt her body melting and almost went limp in his arms. After the kiss, Sure Shujing's face was as red as a tomato. Si Wenshin pressed against her forehead and smiled with satisfaction. Sure enough, you can't reason with a woman at all. You have to use force. No matter how fierce the quarrel is, can't a kiss solve the problem? He really liked using this method to teach his little woman. Now, are you willing to hear my explanation? All the strength in Sure Shujing's body had melted. She was not conscious at all and felt dizzy. She let him put her on the bed and pulled a chair to sit opposite him. Sure, Shujing, you should understand that a man of my age can't not have a past. I'm not a man who likes to fool around, but I've had many women. You should know this very well. In the past, the only girlfriend I acknowledged was Tang Tang. Sure, Shujing felt a little sour in his heart. She was my junior. We dated for a few months and then she went to Syria. She was the one who broke up with me. At that time I didn't feel sad at all. If there was anything, it was just that I lost a friend. Back then I didn't know what true love was. I just felt that it was suitable. It's not bad to have someone by my side. In the past few years, we occasionally contacted each other, but it was only as friends. I liked her because she understood me. It's a kind of like between friends and we can talk. This was the so-called confidant. Sure, Shujing's nerves were still pricked. He turned his face away and said stubbornly, "Why are you telling me all this? I don't care. If you don't care, you wouldn't have quarreled with me that night, including now. But you can't deny me because of my past. Do you understand? Now there's no one else in my heart except for you. I don't want anyone to affect our relationship." Sure, Shujing opened his mouth. His mind was in a mess and he didn't know what to say. In fact, she had no right to care about his past. Tang Tang was just his ex-girlfriend, but she had a current husband. Strictly speaking, she was much more serious than him. His thoughts were complicated. Sure, Shujing shook his head and looked at him in distress. "Whether there's Tang Tang or not, it's impossible between us. Do you understand? Why is it impossible? Just because you're married? This is something that can't be solved easily." Si Wenqin didn't care. Divorce Qin Baiyuan. Sure, Shujing hesitated for a moment. Should she say that she had decided to divorce Qin Baiyuan? In the end, she was still worried that he would forcefully interfere and harm Blue Sky, so she could only hold back. "Let me think about it. Don't force me, okay? There are a lot of problems between Qin Baiyuan and I, and it's time to solve them. But no matter what, I'm still married. If something happens between you and me, I'll feel very guilty. If you respect me, give me some time. I'll solve it as soon as possible, and then we can consider the things between us." "I won't force you. I'm a little tired. I want to rest. You go back first." "Think about it carefully. I'll come to you tomorrow. As for my past with Tang Tang, I'll explain it to you later." Sure, Shujing nodded. All the strength in her body had been drained, and she behaved very meekly. After sending Si Wenqin away, Sure Shujing lay on the bed, tossing and turning. She had been struggling with her relationship with Si Wenqin and Qin Baiyuan. She was really moved by Si Wenqin now. Qin Baiyuan's temper was very bad for the next few days. Regardless of whether it was the secretary or the ordinary employees, they could all feel the storm. He had always been a cynical person and his face was always tense. He often criticized his employees and lost his temper. He was like a ticking time bomb. 3 days ago, the second day after Sure Shujing went to see Qin Baiyuan, he came back to work. Of course, the reason was not Sure Shujing. Even if it was, he would never admit it. After working for less than an hour, he couldn't wait to find fault with Sure Shujing. He asked the secretary to call her up, but the secretary's reply was that Sure Shujing was not in the office. In the morning, Qin Baiyuan called the secretary at least 4 times, but he couldn't find Sure Shujing. After asking, he found out that she had applied for leave. Qin Baiyuan directly questioned Sure Shujing's secretary on the phone. "Applied for leave? Who approved her leave?" "Yes, it was approved by the chairman himself. He even approved 15 days of leave." Qin Baiyuan cursed. "Who will clean up the mess for her after leaving so much work behind? Where is she? Ask her to come back to work immediately. Tell her it's my order." "But manager Sure has gone to England." "England?" Qin Baiyuan's first reaction was that she went to England with her adulterer for a honeymoon. Not enough in Flozen City but also abroad? He was so angry that his liver hurt. "I don't care where she is. Even if she is in hell, I will dig her out for me." Qin Baiyuan angrily waited for half an hour. The secretary called back and said with fear and trepidation that Sure Shujing's leave was approved by the chairman. So unless the chairman personally asked her to cancel the leave, she would not come back, no matter who called her. Qin Baiyuan was so angry that he almost died. He angrily thought that she was having an affair? Then let her steal as much as she wants. She could do whatever she wanted. He would just pretend that she was dead. As a result, he lost his temper every day for 3 days. Everyone in the company felt insecure and stayed far away from him, for fear of being involved. His new love, the little secretary of the planning department, Wang Danbai, was not afraid of death. She even took the initiative to come to him. It was supposed to be office time, But Wang Danbai was sitting on Qin Baiyuan's lap, playing with his tie. Qin Baiyuan kissed her neck, trying to concentrate on the beautiful person in his arms, but he could not enjoy it to the fullest. He was irritated by the smell on her body. He stopped moving and frowned at her. Did you pour a bottle of perfume on yourself? It's disgusting. How could it be? Last time you said you liked my perfume, so I sprayed a little more. It smells good, you smell it? Don't bother me. Honey, what's wrong? Who made you angry? Wang Danbai wanted to take advantage of the fact that Shi Shujing was not here and Su Jixin was dumped, so she tried her best to take over. Did that Mrs. Qin make you unhappy? Shut up. Qin Baiyuan grabbed her wrist roughly. Don't mention her name. You're hurting me, let go, it hurts. Qin Baiyuan pulled her up. Don't let me see you again. What do you mean? Are you going to break up with me? I mean, don't show up in the company again. Get out. Qin Baiyuan said cruelly and mercilessly. There was no trace of the gentleness he had in the past. He was like a heartless man. Do you understand? Get out. Wang Danbai ran away in tears. Qin Baiyuan was like a trapped beast in the office, and all the blood in his body was rushing to his brain. His brain was in a mess as if it was about to explode. He picked up the phone again and again and put it back again and again like a lunatic. In the end, he couldn't help but call back. Shi Shujing was staring at the ceiling in a daze, thinking hard about how to break up with Qin Baiyuan. His phone suddenly rang and his number flashed on the screen. She was irritated by the first call, so she didn't answer it. Until the third call, she couldn't bear it anymore, so she answered it. Qin Baiyuan's angry roar came from the other end. Why didn't you answer my call? Are you deaf or your hand is broken? What's wrong? Am I interrupting your work? Shi Shujing frowned. What's the matter? Are you in England now? Or you with Mr. C? What does it have to do with you who I'm with? Cut the crap, say it. I came with Gao Zhuqing. She's here for an interview. Oh, it's her again. Other than her, there's no one else who can be your cover? What good can you do by being with that whore pimp? Did she introduce you to a sugar daddy again? Shi Shujing sat up immediately. Chapter 124. My mouth is dirty? I think you're the one who's dirty. You've been f***ed by countless men. Stop pretending to be virtuous. That's funny. You don't want to see me, do you? Why do you care where I am? I'm not in the company. Out of sight, out of mind. Do you think I care about you? There are so many things to do in the company. If you don't come back, who will do it for you? I won't clean up your mess. I finished my work. My leave was approved by Dad. You have no right to criticize me. He didn't ask you to have an affair. Shi Shujing gritted his teeth in anger. Shut your mouth, don't slander me again. Who I'm with and whether I have an affair or not, it has nothing to do with you. Anyway, I won't go back. Instead of wasting time asking me if I have an affair, it's better to sign the divorce agreement and go our separate ways. After that, he hung up and switched off his phone. Hey, how dare you hang up on me? Qin Baiyuan was so angry that he smashed his phone and put his hands on his hips. He looked like he was going to pick a fight with someone. His body was shivering and his body temperature dropped to the freezing point. Fine, Shi Shujing. You're so capable. You think I'm annoying? Then I'm going to ruin your plan. He thought bitterly. If I'm not happy, you won't have a good life either. The next morning, Gao Zhuqing returned to the hotel. As soon as she entered the door, she excitedly ran over to ask. How was it? How was it last night? Shi Shujing ignored her and folded the clothes one by one into the suitcase. Don't just tidy up the clothes. What happened between you and Boss C last night? Tell me. Shi Shujing still ignored her and treated her as air. After folding the clothes and starting to pack up the skincare products, Gao Zhuqing noticed that something was wrong. Why are you packing? You're leaving? I didn't say I'm leaving. I'll be busy for a few days. I didn't say you're leaving. I'm leaving. Shi Shujing's tone was cold. You're leaving? With Boss C? Shi Shujing shook his head. Where are you going alone? Back to China? What are you doing? I don't want to be with someone who betrays me. Don't look for me in the future. What do you mean? You want to sever ties with me? Gao Zhuqing panicked and quickly pulled her back. Don't. I'm trying to matchmake you and Boss C out of kindness. I'm not selling you out. Fine. I was wrong last night. I apologize. Can you not be mad at me? Don't break off all ties with me. I was wrong, you can scold me all you want, but don't be like this. Shi Shujing lowered his head, his shoulders trembling. What happened to you? Are you crying? Gao Zhuqing quickly cupped her face, only to find that Shi Shujing was snickering. The corners of her mouth had almost reached the corners of her eyes. Suddenly, she realized that she had been fooled. Damn it. You actually lied to me. You scared me to death. You're so bad. This is called a small punishment to warn against a big crime, punishing you for betraying your teammates. I'll let it go this time, but if there's a next time, do you think I'll break off all ties with you? Gao Zhuqing shook his head. I won't dare to do it again. While they were chatting and laughing, the doorbell rang. It was a waiter pushing a dining cart with a large bouquet of perfumed lilies. Hello. This is a gift from Boss C to Miss Shi Shujing. He asked me to say good morning to you on his behalf. This was the first time that Shi Shujing had received flowers, and she felt sweet in her heart. Gao Zhuqing had been admiring her, saying that he was going to torture the single dog to death. Miss Shi Shujing, Boss C said that he would come over personally later. Please have breakfast first and have a good rest. During the day, Shi Shujing helped Gao Zhuqing deal with work problems. At noon, the hotel sent lunch, which was also arranged by Si Wenqin. Gao Zhuqing said at that time, Boss C is really a man of God. Chairman C is really a godly person. He knew that we wouldn't go out to eat? At 6 o'clock in the evening, Shi Shujing received a call from the front desk, saying that someone was waiting for her in the restaurant. She knew that it was Si Wenqin. When she arrived at the restaurant, there were many people, but Shi Shujing saw Si Wenqin at a glance. He liked to sit by the window and he was very tall. He probably came here as soon as he finished his work, for he hadn't changed out of his suit. It was a neat black suit, and every stitch was extremely ironed. He had a strong figure, a cold and unapproachable temperament, as if he had automatically separated himself from the people around him, but he also had a halo around him, which attracted people's attention at a glance. He was smoking with a cigarette between his slender and beautiful fingers, and the smoke rose slowly. The soft light soaked his face, which was handsome and hazy. He slightly squinted his eyes and it was impossible to guess what he was thinking. There was a feeling that he was looking down on all living things. His eyes were indifferent and glazed, and there was a halo around the corner of his eyes and the tip of his eyebrows. Shi Shujing did not like the smell of cigarettes, but when Si Wenqin smoked, even if it was a casual action of holding the cigarette between his lips, he still looked like Satan. While she was in a daze, Si Wenqin's eyes looked over and their eyes met in the air. He smiled and Shi Shujing's face turned red, and her heart skipped a few beats. She walked over and Si Wenqin stubbed out the cigarette, stood up, and pulled out a chair for her like a gentleman. The two of them were close and she could smell the faint scent of tobacco on his body. She was intoxicated for a moment. When they sat down, Si Wenqin looked at her with a pair of smiling eyes. You look very beautiful today. Did you specially dress up for me? Shi Shujing denied. How am I specially dressed up? You can't be wearing pajamas when you come out to meet people, right? I like it when you wear a skirt. Si Wenqin's eyes were very bright, revealing that he was in a very good mood. He passed the menu to her. What do you want to eat? Or get the chef to recommend a signature dish. There's no need to trouble yourself. Gao Zhuqing and I have ordered fast food. I'll go up after I have a drink. She's still waiting for me. I think reporter Gao would rather you have dinner with me. I've already warned her yesterday. She won't collude with you in the future. Collude with me? Si Wenqin pondered over this term. Was your language taught by a physical education teacher? If your Chinese isn't good, I'll change to English. To be more accurate, it's called wingman. I have to say, it's much more convenient for me to have such a perceptive wingman by your side. If there's a chance, I'll have to thank her properly. But the one who benefits the most is you. You have a good friend who cares so much about you. Moreover, her taste is much better than yours. The onlooker sees more clearly. You should consider your friend's opinion more, including the man she introduces to you. Shi Shujing rolled his eyes. Since you like her so much, you can just woo her. Jealous? Si Wenqin teased. I heard that the relationship between a woman and her best friend is a love-hate relationship. It's great when the relationship is good, but it's also very easy for them to turn against each other. Moreover, it's usually because of the man. When did Boss C change his profession to a female researcher? However, although Boss C has had many women, I'm afraid it's just a physical relationship. He doesn't really understand women. Now you want to settle old scores with me? Shi Shujing was speechless. Si Wenqin lit another cigarette and said slowly, that's right. I've had many women but not as many as you think. Physically, I'm also a clean freak. Not every woman can enter my eyes. So, don't compare me to those people. As for my past, if you want to know, I can tell you very clearly. Shi Shujing put down the menu. Sorry? I'm really not interested. Subconsciously, she still didn't want the two of them to reach the step of understanding each other's past so quickly. It seemed like they wanted to have a serious relationship. Let's order. Si Wenshin ordered 2 steaks. He was very elegant as he ate. Even nobles couldn't compare to him. Every movement he made exuded a natural gentlemanly aura. After a while he said, "My steak is medium well and I only eat beef tenderloin. This thickness of filet mignon suits my taste best." Shi Shujing said, "Oh." She didn't know much about steak. She only cared about the taste. "I don't like any seasoning in Chinese food. It's best if I don't see onion, ginger, and garlic. I personally prefer black coffee, the most bitter kind, no sugar." Shi Shujing frowned. "Boss C, I don't think I've asked about your personal taste." The corner of his mouth raised an indiscernible curve. Si Wenshin wiped his mouth. "I just think that since you'll be my woman in the future, it's better for you to know these things as soon as possible. As for my likes and dislikes, I hope you can remember them." This sounded a little overbearing. Shi Shujing instinctively resisted. "Then I think you need a maid. A relationship based on mutual understanding will save a lot of trouble. Of course we're equal. Similarly, I'll also understand your likes and dislikes and give you full respect. If you like flowers, then I'll send them to you at a fixed time every week. If you like Chinese food, then we'll eat Chinese food in the future. We'll choose the cuisine according to your taste. Don't you think that's good? I think if love becomes a mechanical relationship following your preferences step by step, it'll be really boring. Perhaps in your previous relationships, the woman only caters to you blindly, as if you're just raising a pet or a maid. I don't deny that to be my woman, she must be very obedient. I don't like meaningless quarrels. Even if there are disputes, they can't touch my bottom line." Si Wenshin took a sip of red wine. His eyes slightly narrowed. With a sense of scrutiny, he was testing her attitude. Shi Shujing found it funny. "In that case, why don't you sign a document in black and white, specifying the rules and obligations that I have to follow to become your woman, and list them clearly?" "This is a good idea. Egomaniac." Shi Shujing secretly rolled his eyes a few times. "Unless you're a masochist, I don't think many women can tolerate such chauvinism." "You don't like it?" "Very much not." "Oh," Si Wenshin smiled. "So now you're starting to worry about our future conflicts? Very good. This means that you already have the awareness of being my woman." Shi Shujing was speechless. "I didn't. Didn't you mock me?" Chapter 125. "He's a man who has nothing to do with you and you're going to criticize him?" Shi Shujing, "Don't deny it. You have automatically taken that role just now, which shows that you have me in your heart, and you have already included our future in your consideration." Before Shi Shujing opened her mouth to speak, Si Wenshin continued. "You don't have to resist this too much. Being my woman is far less terrible than you think. To say the least, can I be worse than Qin Baiyuan? I don't want to miss you, otherwise I won't keep pestering you. After all, I also want to save face, don't I? What I said just now is the pattern of my previous relationships. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it at that time, just because those women are not you, Shi Shujing. If we are together in the future, all the patterns will be overturned. My heart will let me love and spoil you. What a woman wants, you will only get more, not less. I, Si Wenshin, will never let any woman regret after being with me. I mean what I say." A voice broke the silence. "We meet here again. What a coincidence." The sudden appearance of Tang Tang made Shi Shujing suddenly wake up. Looking at Tang Tang, she was confused. Tang Tang's eyes fell on her. "Monsieur Shujing?" She bit her lips, reluctantly raised her head, and smiled embarrassedly. "Hello, Miss Tang." Tang Tang was a sensitive woman, especially she knew Si Wenshin very well. She could see something from his eyes, and her mind became a little strange. Of course, she would not say anything, at least in front of Si Wenshin. She would not ask for a snub. After meeting Shi Shujing, she said, "I have an appointment with a friend. Enjoy your meal." Shi Shujing looked at Tang Tang's back and heaved a sigh of relief. He had mixed feelings in his heart. Tang Tang's seat was very far away from them, but her eyes kept glancing over, as if she felt that Tang Tang was also looking at her, and she couldn't concentrate. Si Wenshin saw that she kept looking in that direction, so he suggested, "If it makes you uncomfortable, we can change to another restaurant." "I don't want that." Shi Shujing refused without hesitation. We're just ordinary friends having a meal, it's not like we're doing something. Why would I feel uncomfortable? There was a hint of anger in his tone. Or are you afraid that she will feel uncomfortable? We ended our relationship a long time ago and it was a peaceful separation. What's there to be uncomfortable about? Si Wenxin smiled faintly. His face revealed a kind of gentle toughness. His eyebrows were elegant and beautiful. He was also very tolerant towards her. The relationship between a man and a woman has always been special. It's normal to feel uncomfortable. That's because you kids are like that. Si Wenxin smiled. At my age, do I still know how to do that? Maybe she still has feelings for you. She was the one who brought up the breakup. Then she's not allowed to have difficulties? Sure, Shujing didn't realize that he was being stubborn. It doesn't mean that you don't love her anymore. Sometimes, there are many things that are beyond your control. After all, for a man like Si Wenxin, whoever was with him must have cultivated several lifetimes worth of good fortune. Only a fool would break up with him. Then I'm not sure. Do you think I'll still care about that after breaking up for so many years? Si Wenxin said it calmly and steadily. It was obvious that he was much calmer than Shi Shujing. Her emotions fluctuated a lot, but he had always been very calm. His tone of voice and expression were as calm as ever. Obviously, for him, the past was the past. It was like a gust of wind and sand. With the passage of time, it had disappeared like smoke and dust. It was no longer enough to arouse any fluctuations in his heart. He had a rich life experience. His relationship with Tang Tang was just a stage in his life. Even if she was his only girlfriend, it was not that great. However, Shi Shujing was a sensitive little woman. The calmer Si Wenxin appeared, the more stubborn she was. Instead, she wanted him to admit that he still had feelings for her. Isn't she still your confidant? This means that she is still very important to you. Who said that we can't be friends after breaking up? Shi Shujing retorted sarcastically. Do you really lack that friend? Si Wenxin's brows furrowed slightly. He didn't like the constant entanglements. Why are you arguing with me? Who wants to argue with you? What's our relationship? Do I have the right to argue? I just don't like people who still pretend to be friends after breaking up. Either we break up or get back together. What's the big deal about having a confidant? It's just an excuse. Si Wenxin liked that Shi Shujing was jealous of him. However, when a woman was too unreasonable, it was a little exhausting of his patience. After all, a good temper didn't mean that he could allow a woman to act like a tyrant over him. This was something he absolutely couldn't allow. His tone became a little heavier. I've said it very clearly. If you mind, we can go to another restaurant. As for my relationship with her, I can also explain it to you. However, you don't choose either. You insist on arguing with me when you don't know the situation. It's very unreasonable. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just stating the facts. Maybe it's good if you two get back together. Then you won't pester me anymore. Shi Shujing said these words in a fit of anger without thinking. He felt a little regretful after saying them. However, he still underestimated the damage these words caused to Si Wenxin. He wouldn't go to the extent of making a big fuss, but his face was indeed not good. At this moment he didn't hide his emotions at all. It was obvious that he was unhappy. However, there was no other way. Shi Shujing couldn't take back what he had said. He also couldn't lower his face to apologize, so he simply kept silent. In such silence, Si Wenxin's mobile phone rang. He stared at Shi Shujing and answered the phone. It's me. What's wrong? Which hospital? I'm coming now. Shi Shujing saw that he was quite anxious. Moreover, he mentioned the hospital, so she was a little worried. What's the matter? I have something urgent now. Si Wenxin stood up in a hurry. Can you go back by yourself after dinner? She nodded quickly. If you have something to do, you can go first. In fact, she really wanted to ask what exactly was going on, but in the end she just watched his back disappear in a hurry. She frowned and regretted saying those words just now. She didn't know what happened on his side. Wasn't it adding snow to snow? In fact, Shi Shujing didn't understand her own thoughts. Since Tang Tang appeared, there was an unknown fire in her heart. Especially when facing Si Wenxin, she couldn't control it at all. She was not the type to make a fuss. She just liked to make a few sarcastic remarks and say a few words out of spite. Even she felt that it was incredible. It seemed that the bad temper that she didn't realize before had all been aroused, as if there were thorns all over her body. Not long after Si Wenxin left, Shi Shujing was also ready to leave. However, Tang Tang came over and smiled very gently. My friend can't come because of something and Wenxin has left. Why don't the two of us sit together? It's too boring to eat alone. Sure, Jing just wanted to say that she had finished eating, but Tang Tang's smile had a kind of irresistible charm. She was like Si Wenxin, a very charismatic person. Sure, Jing nodded involuntarily. Suddenly, a very unreasonable idea flashed in her mind. Know yourself and know your enemy and you will win every battle. It's good to know more about Tang Tang. Si Wenxin's steak was still on the table. Tang Tang took a glance and smiled. He's still the same, only eating filet mignon medium well. He said that this thickness suits his taste best. Same for coffee, always black coffee. Habits are habits and it's hard to get rid of them, especially for people like him. He may not be able to change it for the rest of his life. What she said was exactly the same as what Si Wenxin had said, which showed how much she knew about him. Sure, Jing bit her lips subconsciously. She thought that she only needed to know the current Si Wenxin, but when his past appeared in front of her without warning, she realized that she really didn't know much about him. She also didn't know how important her relationship with Tang Tang was in his heart. Miss Sure, or should I call you Mrs. Qin? Sure, Jing's eyes widened in shock. Don't be so surprised. The news about you and Wenxin is all over the city. Even I, a person who doesn't like to gossip, have heard about it. Also, Wenxin has mentioned you to me and I think he really likes you. Me and Boss C, it's not like what the news says, it's a misunderstanding, maybe, but his feelings for you are real. We haven't known each other for a long time, but I know him very well. You can tell whether a person likes you or not just by looking at their eyes, so I recognized you at first glance. Sure, Jing didn't expect Tang Tang to say something like this to her, and she wasn't sure where she stood or what her motive was. I didn't come to you for any other reason, I'm just curious about the woman who can make Wenxin fall in love with her. Who is she? Tang Tang kept a smile on her face and praised her cheerfully. Miss Sure, you're very beautiful. Sure, Jing thought a lot in her heart, but she didn't say anything. Tang Tang was a powerful woman, and before she completely understood her, Sure Jing didn't want to say too much. You flatter me, Miss Tang is the real beauty? Ha! You don't have to be so guarded against me, I'm not that kind of evil ex-girlfriend. Wenxin has a very good taste in women, if I were that kind of woman, he wouldn't have chosen me in the first place. Sure, Jing thought maybe, a woman who could devote her best years to the battlefield shouldn't be too evil. As his ex-girlfriend, I'm also very sure that Wenxin likes you, which means you must have something special about you, otherwise he wouldn't not mind your marriage with Qin Baiyuan at all. After all, Wenxin is also a man who cares about his reputation, and this will have a negative impact on him. Thank you for your kindness, Miss Tang, but what will happen to me and Boss C in the future is not within my control. Of course, it is also not within your control, Miss Tang. Let nature take its course and there's no need to say more. Gao Zhuqing is still waiting for me in the room, I'll go up first, goodbye. Sure, Jing bowed and left. Chapter 126. When Sure Jing returned to the room, Gao Zhuqing immediately grabbed her and interrogated her. Coincidentally, she was also very unhappy with Tang Tang, so she complained about him. They chatted until midnight. When Sure Jing came out of the shower, Gao Zhuqing was clutching her stomach and rolling around on the bed, crying out in pain. Without a word, she quickly contacted the hotel and sent her to the hospital. At the hospital, Si Wenxin arrived at the hospital immediately and contacted the doctor. After confirming that Yang Yizhou's condition had stabilized, he returned to the ward. His face was gloomy and his facial features were tense. He walked to the bedside and reprimanded her. Why did you hide it from me that your heart is not well? Did you think that I wouldn't know just because you hid it from me? He was like an elder, but Yang Yizhou was like a child, shrinking her head and mumbling. If the maid didn't inform you, you wouldn't know now. Who said that I can't hide it from you? You're still hoping for a fluke? If the maid didn't send you to the hospital in time, you might very well. Si Wenxin gritted his teeth and did not continue. You really don't know how to take care of yourself. All right. It's my fault for hiding it from you. Don't be angry, Yang Yizhou said timidly. Isn't it because I don't want you to worry? I'm your son. You're my responsibility. If you don't want to worry, you should have told me earlier. Can you imagine how worried I was when I received the call from the hospital? Si Wenxin frowned and put on a straight face. Why don't you take care of yourself? You know that your heart is not well, but you still stay up late and eat irregularly. Do you want to drag yourself down? I'm not in a good mood when you're not by my side. I'm alone, Yang Yizhou complained softly, feeling wronged. I'm alone in England. It's very lonely, then come back with me. I don't want to. Yang Yizhou rejected him immediately. If you want me to go back to that place, it'll be worse than killing me. Most. I promise you I'll take good care of myself in the future. I promise. Seeing that she was still looking haggard, Si Wenshin could only restrain his temper. I'll arrange for a nurse to accompany you at home. I don't want to. I don't want to have a follower. There's no freedom at all, then come back with me. Choose one of the two. Si Wenshin's words were sonorous and powerful. Every word had an irresistible force. Even Yang Ijo had to succumb to her son's majesty and nodded weakly. I choose nurse. I know you care about me. No one could have predicted that I would suffer from sudden angina pectoris. I will definitely pay more attention to my diet and won't stay up late anymore. Don't be mad at me, okay? Whenever you stare at me, I get nervous. Do as you say, or I'll arrange for you to be hospitalized immediately. Yang Ijo shook her head. I don't want to be hospitalized. After chatting with Yang Ijo for a while, Si Wenshin took care of her before leaving the ward. He stood in the corridor and looked at the moonlight outside the window. He lit a cigarette, but he didn't smoke it. The cigarette slowly burned between his fingers until it almost burned his hand. Only then did he come back to his senses, threw the cigarette butt away, and stepped on it to extinguish it. Although Yang Ijo was out of danger, the doctor said that her heart wasn't very good. The next time it acted up, she might not be so lucky. Si Wenshin's heart was heavy and he felt a little depressed. At this time he really wanted to hear Shi Shujing's voice. He took out his phone and hesitated whether or not to call her. However, it was already midnight and he didn't want to disturb her rest. In the end, he gave up and put his phone back into his pocket. He looked at the moonlight outside the window and pinched his eyebrows in melancholy. It seemed that in the future he would have to travel back and forth between England and Flozen City. It was time for him to fulfill his responsibility as a son. Si Wenshin spent the night in a hotel near the hospital. The next morning he came over at 7 in the morning. Just as he walked to the door, he heard Yang Ijo and Tang Tang talking and laughing. Wenshin, why are you here so early? Didn't I tell you to rest a bit more? I'm in the hospital, I'm fine. Look, I even called Tang Tang over. Yang Ijo said happily. After resting for a whole night, she recovered quickly. Her face didn't look sick like yesterday and she was full of energy. Tang Tang turned around and smiled at him. Morning. I bought some porridge for Auntie and there's still some left. Do you want some? Si Wenshin shook his head. I've already had coffee. You said that I don't know how to take care of my body, but aren't you the same? It's not good to drink coffee on an empty stomach. Have some porridge, it's very delicious. Yang Ijo signaled with her eyes, and Tang Tang poured a bowl of porridge for Si Wenshin. Did you not sleep well last night? You have dark circles under your eyes. You must be worried about me. Actually, at my age there's more or less something wrong with your body. There's nothing to worry about. Yang Ijo was still smiling and Si Wenshin kept shaking his head. She was getting older and had regained her youth, but she was like a child. She didn't understand anything at all and always made people worry. Moreover, Tang Tang is taking care of me now. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Si Wenshin drank a mouthful of porridge and said lightly. It's not good to trouble others. It sounded like a casual sentence, but Tang Tang was a little disappointed. With Shi Shujing around, she had become others? But she didn't show any emotion and continued smiling. How is Auntie my trouble? Moreover, I'm going to stay in England for a period of time, and I have nothing to do anyway. It's good to have two people as companions. Yang Ijo was even happier when she heard that. Isn't that so? With Tang Tang accompanying me, I'm in a good mood and there's nothing wrong with my heart. Si Wenshin waited until Tang Tang went out to answer the phone before he spoke. Don't do that again. Yang Ijo pretended not to know. What are you doing? I don't know what you're talking about. My relationship with Tang Tang is over. The end only represents the past, and it doesn't mean that it's impossible in the future. Yes. I'm also quite upset that she left you back then, but I see that she has the intention to get back together, and she's also planning to stay in England. Can't you give her a chance? Tang Tang is a little headstrong, but she's a good girl and I quite like her. Moreover, isn't it because of her that you haven't had a girlfriend all these years? It has nothing to do with her. How is it unrelated? That day when I introduced Chenying to you, you still left with Tang Tang. If you say that you don't have feelings for her, then bring a girl back for me to see. Women were headstrong regardless of their age, and it was meaningless to explain to them. Si Wenshin also didn't know what to say. Shi Shujing sent Gao Zhuqing to the hospital in the middle of the night, and the doctor diagnosed that it was acute gastritis caused by improper eating, and he would have to be hospitalized for 2 days. She was exhausted from the torment of the night, and only slept for 2 hours. She woke up early to buy breakfast for Gao Zhuqing. When she passed by the corridor, a few familiar figures appeared in her sight, and she stopped in her tracks. It was Si Wenxin and Tang Tang. The two of them were supporting a middle-aged woman, and that woman was talking and laughing with Tang Tang, and they seemed to be very close. Shi Shujing wanted to escape, but her feet were rooted to the ground, and she couldn't move a single step. The three of them walked towards them, and Si Wenxin also saw Shi Shujing, and he was also stunned. This situation was too easy for her to misunderstand, and he was a little worried that this little woman was going to be stubborn again. "Miss Shi, what a coincidence." Tang Tang took the initiative to greet her. "Hi, hello." Shi Shujing stood there awkwardly. "Why are you in the hospital? Are you not feeling well?" "No, it's Gao Zhuqing." Shi Shujing's eyes met with Si Wenxin's for a short second, and she quickly looked away. The curse on her feet disappeared, and she quickly wanted to escape. "I'll leave first, goodbye." She escaped without a trace and did not dare to look at Si Wenxin again. He subconsciously turned his head and looked at her back, and his brows slightly furrowed. And this detail was also seen by Yang Yizhou. Si Wenxin and Tang Tang accompanied Yang Yizhou for a walk around the garden, and the two of them were talking and laughing, but Si Wenxin's mind kept thinking about Shi Shujing's pale little face. Although he did not do anything intimate with Tang Tang in her opinion, it was still not good. She was already fighting with him, and this time it was even worse. Back in the ward, after taking care of Yang Yizhou to sleep, Si Wenxin put on his coat. "Take care of my mother first, I'll go out for a while." "Are you going to look for Miss Shi?" Si Wenxin hummed in acknowledgement. "Don't go first. Auntie is a light sleeper, and once she wakes up she will definitely look for you. You are always in Flozen City, and you don't have much time to accompany her. Now that she is hospitalized, you should be by her side." Si Wenxin looked at Yang Yizhou and was moved. "There's no hurry to explain to Shi Shujing. I'm also a woman and I understand. When a woman is angry, she won't listen to anything. It's better to calm down for a few days and talk to her after she has cooled down. Listen to me, that's right." Si Wenxin hesitated for a while and compromised. "I'll go out for a smoke." 2 days later, Gao Zhuqing was discharged from the hospital, but his body was not well, so the work fell to Shi Shujing. She was staring at the computer in a daze. Gao Zhuqing stretched out his head to look at her. "You're daydreaming again. Look, there are 2 typos here, and this sentence doesn't flow smoothly. To think that you even checked. Did you put in the effort?" Shi Shujing was a little annoyed. "Then come and do it. I'm a patient. If I didn't eat random things, would this happen? You said that I'm accompanying you for a holiday, but you're actually looking for someone to work for you. Oh yes, my eyes are blurry for the whole morning. It's not that I want to be sick." Gao Zhuqing was afraid that she would not do it, so he quickly fawned over her. "I know you're the best. I'll treat you to a big meal next time. Please, please. If I don't hand it in by tomorrow, that old witch will definitely chop me up. After I hand it in, let's have fun for a few days." Shi Shujing pinched between his eyebrows and put down his glasses. "Let's do it in the afternoon. I'm too tired now and everything looks blurry." "I don't think your eyes are tired, but your heart is tired. You're already in such a dilemma, and you still say that you don't like Boss C? You're lying to yourself. Aren't you tired of being stubborn? Is there any meaning to it? Can you not mention him?" Shi Shujing interrupted impatiently. For the past 2 days, the scene in the hospital corridor kept flashing in her mind. He and Tang Tang were such a good match. Wasn't this good? He might as well get back together with Tang Tang. Why did he have to provoke her? Who was she? Chapter 127. Shi Shujing was both reluctant and expectant to meet Si Wenxin. She held her breath and came to the dining room, but she didn't see him. From afar, a beautiful woman waved to her. "Miss Shi here." She was Si Wenxin's mother. Even her habits were the same as him, and she liked to sit by the window. Shi Shujing was stunned for a moment, then she calmed down and walked over. "Hello. I'm Si Wenxin's mother, Yang Yizhou." Shi Shujing. After greeting, Shi Shujing sat down. Yang Yizhou's eyebrows and eyes were very similar to Si Wenxin's, elegant and beautiful. Dressed in a decent suit, she was full of the charm of a British royal woman. She had seen the silk scarf on her shoulder in a magazine. It was a limited edition international brand, which couldn't be bought even if you had money. She exuded a light fragrance. Yang Yizhou's posture and appearance represented the dream of all women. She could grow old gracefully and still be charming. "It seems that it's a little rude of me to come to you so suddenly." Yang Ijo spoke very politely. The corners of her eyes were slightly raised, and there was a smile in her eyes. She seemed calm, but she must be smart. She quietly looked at Shi Shujing. Her appearance and figure were good, and she was also polite. She was a little stiff, but it was probably the first time they met, so she was a little reserved. If only in terms of appearance, Yang Ijo was also satisfied with her, but there were too many people involved, which became a very complicated problem. She knew her son very well. From the way he looked at Shi Shujing in the hallway, she could tell that something was up. When she returned to the ward, she didn't fall asleep immediately. Instead, she kept eavesdropping on his conversation with Tang Tang. After she was discharged from the hospital, she sent someone to investigate Shi Shujing's background. She never thought that her son would really have a relationship with Qin Baiyuan's wife. "Miss Shi, with whom did you go on a business trip? Your husband?" "With a friend." "I see." Yang Ijo elegantly took a sip of coffee, and her smile was still so graceful. "Miss Shi, you are a smart woman. You should know very well why I came to you. Xiao Chen's father and I divorced a long time ago, and we have been living in the UK. As you know, Ocean Group was founded by Xiao Chen, and there is a powerful business empire behind it for him to inherit. Xiao Chen is an excellent man, and I have always been very strict with his education. He must not make any mistakes, including work and relationships. So, I was very shocked when I saw the report about you and him. It doesn't seem like something he would do," Shi Shujing said. "Those are just fictitious reports, fabricated by reporters," Xiao Chen said. "Xiao Chen must have told you," she said. "Yang I have you," she say. "I how, Xiao how is." "I could tell from the way little Chen looked at you in the hospital that a large part of it was real. I don't know what Xiao Chen likes about you. Is it true or is it a novelty? It's not my place to comment. I'm here today as a mother to tell you where I stand and what I think." "I know what you think, you don't need to. I haven't finished, don't interrupt me." Yang Ijo showed a little dominance. Her expression was still gentle, but her words were a little sharper. "You don't have a child, so you can't put yourself in my shoes and understand what I think. After the divorce, little Chen will be my everything and my glory. I won't allow him to take a single wrong step, not even with his identity. I am an open-minded mother. As long as my son likes someone, I don't mind the other party's identity. After all, the C family doesn't need to get any benefits from the woman's family. But I can't accept a married woman, and the law won't recognize it. You don't have a good relationship with your husband, but that can't be a reason for you to betray him. To be honest, this does make me think differently of you. To put it bluntly, you have a problem with your character." Shi Shujing's face paled and his fingers clenched. "From a certain perspective, it also shows that you are a very selfish woman. Since you married your husband, you have to be loyal to your marriage. Betraying him and only thinking about your own feelings is the first form of selfishness. If you truly love Xiao Chen, you should put yourself in his shoes and think about whether you have brought him trouble or damaged his reputation. But you didn't. You acted recklessly, and that is the second form of selfishness. Family poverty is only in terms of money, but selfishness is in the spirit and can't be changed. In this aspect, you are much worse than Tang Tang. Back then, she broke up with Xiao Chen for a legitimate reason. It was for her dream. Moreover, she is a pure and innocent girl. She's very loyal and won't cheat on him. I quite like her, and Xiao Chen can't forget his feelings for her. I am confident that I can bring them together." Shi Shujing smiled. "Since you are so confident, why did you come to me? You said all this just to get me to leave your son, didn't you? And how can you be sure that I was the one who took the initiative to provoke him and not the other way around? Just because he is rich and powerful, all the women around him should throw themselves at him. Is that right? I understand that in the eyes of any mother, her son is the most outstanding and will be biased towards him, thinking that it is the girl who took the initiative to throw herself at him. But you're also a woman. Don't you think that this is an insult to women? Moreover, before you say these words, I think you should first look for your own son to understand what is going on. It is indeed rude to look for me directly." Yang Ijo didn't expect her to talk back. She was a little impressed for a moment and a little angry at her for being so rude. She came to look for Shi Shujing because she understood Si Wenxin's stubborn personality. But in the end, she was counterattacked by her. She smiled slightly. "I've always believed that the process isn't as important as the result. If Miss Shi can touch your conscience and say that you didn't betray him in marriage, and that you didn't have any ambiguous relationship with little Chen, then I'll apologize to you immediately." Shi Shujing was speechless. Yang Ijo's words had forced her into a desperate situation, and she had no strength to fight back. Her silence and blushing face had completely given Yang Yizhou the upper hand, and her attitude became even more arrogant. Regardless of who provoked who first and what the truth behind it is, the situation I see is that you, as a married woman, had a relationship with my son that should not have happened. To Xiaoqin, he only fell in love with a woman, and this woman is married. But to you, monsieur. Yang Yizhou deliberately paused and emphasized, letting her understand her own position. It is betraying her husband, betraying her own marriage. A married woman has no right to fall in love with another man. In our era, this is called adultery, and the consequences are very serious. In short, Tang Tang is my daughter-in-law. Even if it is not him, it will not be you. Monsieur, please have some self-respect. After saying what needed to be said, Yang Yizhou left. Gao Zhuqing was waiting in the room. He thought that Shi Shujing was going to see Si Wenqin, so he hurriedly asked as soon as he entered the room. How is it? What did Boss Si say to you? Shi Shujing sat down on the bed and her face was very gloomy. Don't mention his name. What's wrong? Did you two quarrel? Who quarreled with him? I have nothing to do with him. Gao Zhuqing pursed his lips, thinking that women in love were very pretentious, showing their feminine side. Hitting and scolding was love, beating and scolding was love, beating and scolding was love, and scolding was a public display of affection. Not long after, Shi Shujing's phone rang. It was placed on the bedside, but she did not pick it up. Gao Zhuqing poked his head over and saw a certain someone's name flashing on the screen. You don't want to pick it up? I don't want to pick it up. I don't think this is a good idea. No matter what, he's your client. Since we can't be lovers, there's no need to make our relationship awkward. You really don't want to pick it up? Then I'll pick it up for you. Gao Zhuqing reached out her hand, but Shi Shujing hurriedly snatched the phone away and hung up. She switched off her phone immediately. Don't be a busybody. Oh, Gao Zhuqing shrugged. Just as she lay back down, her phone rang. It was also Si Wenqin. She subconsciously glanced at Shi Shujing and hesitated for a moment. In the end, she still did not have the guts to reject the call. Hello, yes. She's here. Shi Shujing glared at Gao Zhuqing and signaled her to hang up the phone. Should I ask her to pick up the phone? She's angry now and not in a good mood. You better. Before she could finish her words, the phone was snatched away by Shi Shujing. I don't want to listen to your call. Don't disturb my friend. She hung up the phone and threw it back to Gao Zhuqing. She was so scared that she broke out in cold sweat. Don't you think you've gone too far? That's Boss Si. Can you afford to offend him? Even if you want to lose your temper, you have to look at who you're talking to. Don't overdo it. Shi Shujing would definitely not like to hear these words. Whose friend are you? Why are you speaking up for him? If you like him so much, go ahead. This nameless fire was simply. Gao Zhuqing shrugged her shoulders. Fine. Just take it that I've said too much. I can't interfere in your affairs anymore. After messing around with Gao Zhuqing, Shi Shujing's mood was even more depressed. It wasn't that she didn't know that her temper was too violent, but she couldn't control it at all. Too many annoying things were piled on her shoulders all at once, and she couldn't breathe under the pressure. At this moment, the doorbell rang. Gao Zhuqing looked at Shi Shujing. This time, he didn't say anything and waited for her reaction. He saw her frown for a while before she made up her mind and ran over angrily. Shi Shujing opened the door. As expected, Si Wenqin was standing outside. Obviously, this torment had provoked his temper. Between his beautiful brows, there was a sullen look. Why did you hang up on me? Just hang up if you want to. Don't I have the right to pick up the phone? Their similar faces reminded Shi Shujing of Yang Yizhou's words, please behave yourself. She was so angry that she resisted Si Wenqin's pestering. I've been looking for you. Why are you looking for me? I don't want you to look for me. Go away. Don't disturb me and my friend. Shi Shujing slammed the door. Si Wenqin reached out his hand to stop it. The door clamped his arm. It was a heavy blow. Shi Shujing felt her heart tremble. But she refused to admit that it was because of her heartache. She subconsciously relaxed her strength and reached out to break his fingers. Chapter 128. She was as agitated as a little rooster, but her resistance was futile. Si Wenqin shoved the door open and dragged her out in a rude and unreasonable manner. Follow me. Why should I go with you? Let go. Shi Shujing was dragged out by him. She staggered and could not keep up with his pace. She almost fell several times. Si Wenchen let go. There were people along the way, but no one had the guts to care about this matter. Those who were waiting for the elevator fled when they saw Si Wenchen's fierce glare. Ding! The elevator arrived. At the same time, in another elevator, Qin Baiyuan rushed out aggressively. In a short second, the three of them passed by each other. Si Wenchen dragged Shi Shujing into the elevator and pushed her directly inside. His slender body pressed on her. One hand was above her head, and the other hand was clasped on her shoulder blade. With a little force, she was in so much pain that her whole body was numb. Shi Shujing was like a mosquito nailed to the wall. She pushed his shoulders with both hands, but she could not get rid of his control at all. She became angry out of shame. Si Wenchen, are you a barbarian? I want to be a gentleman, but you won't give me this chance. You seem to prefer me to treat you in this way. Shi Shujing, are you a masochist? Or do you subconsciously think that you will like to attract me this way? As he spoke, his white fangs were sucking hot air, as if he could tear her skin and bones apart at any time and swallow her into his abdomen. He had a kind of fierce charm of a man. However, you have played this kind of trick too many times. How about changing to a new way of playing? Go away. Shi Shujing tried hard to raise her head and avoid his breath, because she knew that such a smell could fascinate her and numb her reason. That day in the restaurant, I have said what I should say. Why did you refuse me again? Because you saw the three of us together in the hospital? Si Wenchen spoke close to her cheek. Because of this, you want to be angry with me again? I'm not throwing a tantrum, I just don't want to see you. You're jealous? I'm jealous? Shi Shujing gritted his teeth and brandished his claws. I'm jealous because your brain is filled with water. Si Wenchen smiled. It's not the first day that I've lost my mind. Otherwise, how could I have fallen for a little thing like you who doesn't know what's good for you? Then you should go see a neurologist to treat your problem. Don't become a moron. Shi Shujing retorted sarcastically. She didn't know that she was so good at scolding people in the past, but this man had stirred up all her bad temper and she couldn't speak properly at all. She knew that she was retreating step by step. The side that was unforgiving was actually the one that lost the most, and Si Wenchen would always be the winner. That day when my mother was sick, she was the one who asked Tang Tang to go to the hospital to take care of her. I didn't know about it. Si Wenchen explained. That means that your mother likes her very much. Since you've been in a relationship and your mother is satisfied, you might as well get back together. When you get married, I'll definitely give you a big red packet. Si Wenchen chuckled, and the hand that he used to support himself against the wall fell on her ears. He pinched her fair earlobes and rubbed them wantonly. Don't you blush when you lie? Why should I blush? You're so thick-skinned and you're not even ashamed. Why should I blush? I didn't do anything wrong. You didn't? Si Wenchen slowly moved closer to her and whispered in her ear. Every time she tightened her body, he would move even closer to her. When you're with me, when we kiss, you really don't feel ashamed for a moment. Shi Shujing was annoyed and stomped her feet angrily as she scolded. Si Wenchen, do you think I'm willing? If not for the fact that you keep pestering me, I would also want to get rid of you. But have you ever given me a chance? You're always like this, relying on your identity and thinking that you're infallible. You've never seen me as a human. Do you? I'm just a fresh and fun toy. You've never considered how bad my situation is. You're such a selfish person. Shi Shujing cried, and her tears flowed down as she scolded and cried at the same time. You're so hateful. Before I met you, I wasn't like this. You're the one who ruined me. What right do you have to blame me? Those tears were like a knife cutting into Si Wenchen's heart. His initially relaxed expression turned into a deep frown. He had really hurt her. At the thought of this, Si Wenchen felt a little suffocated and his heart ached. He loosened his control over her and cupped her face. Under the light, her delicate face was filled with tear stains. She looked so pitiful and aggrieved like a child. His lips gently touched her forehead and slowly moved down to the tip of her nose as he murmured. Baby, don't cry. My heart aches. It's my fault. Forgive me, okay? His fingers ran through her hair and caressed the side of her neck. His gentle movements were filled with a sense of comfort. Baby, don't cry. But Shi Shujing's tears flowed even more. His comforting words made her tears burst out like a broken dam. She felt wronged. His trembling lips landed on hers and melted away her resistance. That gentle caress and the faint scent of tobacco made Shi Shujing surrender. All her resistance collapsed because of his tenderness. Her mind was in a mess. She didn't want to think about anything else. She just wanted to be immersed in such tenderness and never wake up, but eventually she had to return to reality. The elevator door opened and the two of them were still stuck together. The kiss gradually stopped. Shi Shujing looked over with tears in her eyes. Tang Tang was standing at the elevator door. When he saw that scene, his face turned pale. He clenched his fists so tightly that his nails dug deep into his palms. Si Wenxin kissed her forehead. "Stop quarreling. Let's have a good talk, okay?" Holding her hand and turning around, he met with Tang Tang's gaze. However, Si Wenxin only had Shi Shujing in his heart. He didn't care about it at all. It was as if Tang Tang was just an ordinary audience and greeted him. Such a coincidence? Yes. What a coincidence. Tang Tang squeezed out a smile. When Shi Shujing saw her entering the elevator, she staggered a little. But she quickly steadied her body, and that abnormality was almost unnoticeable. The elevator door closed, but Tang Tang's delicate face still revealed a trace of pain. Her mind repeatedly replayed the scene of the two kissing just now. It pierced her nerves as if the deepest part of her body was being tugged at, and it hurt. When the elevator reached the floor, she walked out and stopped in her tracks. She bit her lower lip and seemed to be hesitating. In the end, she still made a call. "Andy, I'm Tang Tang. I just saw Wenxin and Shi Shujing." Qin Baiyuan rushed to the hotel as soon as he got off the plane. He looked like he was going to pick a fight with someone. Gao Zhuqing was resting. When she came to open the door, she saw Qin Baiyuan barging in. She was shocked. "Why are you here? Where's Shi Shujing?" "It's none of your business. Get out." Gao Zhuqing tried to stop him, but Qin Baiyuan's attitude was rude and unreasonable. He threw her far away. "Get out of my way. Where's Shi Shujing?" "Shi Shujing. Come out." Qin Baiyuan looked like he was catching an adulterer. He searched the whole room but he couldn't find her. He was furious. "Where did she go? With Mr. C?" "It's none of your business. She's my wife." "Haha, when you were hugging those mistresses outside, did you ever treat Shi Shujing as your wife? What's the use of being anxious now? Let me tell you, there's no medicine for regret in this world. It's useless even if you regret." Qin Baiyuan had never seen such an annoying woman as Gao Zhuqing. He hated that she was not a man. Otherwise he would beat her to death. "You kidnapped my wife. I haven't settled the score with you. How dare you yell at me?" "How did I kidnap your wife? Her legs belong to Shi Shujing. She's the one who left with me. Why do you care?" "What? You're angry? Hurry up and jump down from the balcony. If you die, the world will be peaceful." "Bitch? I'm a bitch? How can I be as cheap as you?" Shi Shujing volunteered to work in England because she doesn't want to see you. "Get out of here. Don't make me ask the security to throw you out." "Work? Your job is to be a pimp. You should be thrown into jail." "Watch your mouth. Who's a pimp? You're a prostitute. Shameless. I don't want to argue with you." Qin Baiyuan's eyes flashed with anger. He pointed at Gao Zhuqing's eyes and said word by word, "I won't leave until I see her today." Shi Shujing was led out of the hotel by Si Wenxin. Along the way, he kept holding her hand as if he was afraid that she would run away. However, he controlled his strength well. He didn't give her any pressure or hurt her. The kiss in the elevator had calmed her down a little. She didn't make a fuss. He pulled her into the car without saying a word. The two of them sat in the car. Si Wenxin didn't start the car immediately. He looked at her and asked, "Are you still angry with me?" He lowered his posture and apologized to her. "My tone was a little harsh just now. Forgive me, okay? I just want to talk to you, but you've been very resistant. Sometimes I can't control my temper." His big palm covered the back of her hand. Si Wenxin's dark brown eyes rippled with a faint tenderness. His tone was slightly sighing. "Shi Shujing, I really love you. I've used up all my patience with women on you. Some of my actions are a little too much, but don't doubt my respect for you. Moreover, I'm not just playing with you." She lowered her head. No one knew what she was thinking, but she was slightly lost in thought. Actually, Shi Shujing wasn't thinking about anything. She just felt tired. Her mind was blank. Some relationships were too complicated. She couldn't understand them no matter how hard she tried. Si Wenxin didn't want to be too hasty. He planned to leave this place first. But at this moment his phone rang. He glanced at the number and picked it up. "It's me." "What? She's not feeling well?" Si Wenxin looked at Shi Shujing. He hesitated for a moment and finally made a choice. "Okay, I'll go back now. My mom's heart isn't good. I'll go back to see her." At this time, Si Wenxin didn't want to care even if the sky fell down. But Yang Yizhou had just been discharged from the hospital and he was worried. You go back first. Let's all calm down, okay? Chapter 129. She thought that she could finally take a breather, but before the first wave subsided, another wave arose. As soon as she stepped out of the elevator, Qin Baiyuan aggressively rushed over. She stopped in her tracks and looked at the face that looked like it wanted to swallow her alive. Her heart was filled with mockery. Qin Baiyuan really spared no effort to go around the world to catch the adulterer. Where have you been? Shi Shujing automatically ignored his voice and just regarded him as a noisy mosquito. As soon as she passed by him, Qin Baiyuan grabbed her wrist fiercely. That place was just pulled by Si Wenxin, so it was very painful. The similar violence irritated Shi Shujing and he pushed back. Let go of my hand. Where have you been? It's none of your business where I go. It's none of your business. You're my wife. It's none of my business. Qin Baiyuan said plausibly. Tell me clearly. You already know. Do you still need to ask? So you admit that you were with Mr. C just now? You've even stolen him abroad. Shameless. Yes. I'm shameless. You're the most shameless, okay? Let go of me. I don't want to talk to you now. Qin Baiyuan was unyielding. What benefits did he give you? So that you can't leave him for a moment. He doesn't need to give me any benefits. He's so attractive to me. Shi Shujing looked at Qin Baiyuan coldly. You said that I should exchange my body for more benefits. I'm doing what you said now. Why are you so angry? Shouldn't you stay in the blue sky and reap the benefits? Why did you come here to stir up trouble? You, Qin Baiyuan, do you know how ridiculous you are? If you treat me as a tool, you should be happy that I have a close relationship with Mr. C. If it hurts your great self-esteem and you can't stand it, then divorce. You want to take advantage of others but can't stand it. What do you mean? There's no such good thing in the world. What? The woman that you originally disdained has found a higher branch. You're mentally unbalanced and jealous, aren't you? Qin Baiyuan's face turned red and he flew into a rage out of humiliation. I'm jealous? How could I be jealous? I'm disgusting. He was enraged. Shi Shujing felt very satisfied. He wantonly admired that malevolent and twisted face and sneered. Aren't you jealous? I'm just a shameless woman. Why would you come all the way to England to catch me in the act? Who said I'm here to catch adultery? Qin Baiyuan denied angrily. I just can't stand the fact that you don't even go to work and receive your salary with a clear conscience. Who do you think you are? Can you not be unreasonable? I'm officially on leave. I disagree. As long as Dad agrees. I don't need your approval. Why wouldn't I need it? I am your direct superior. If I say no, then no. There are also projects under discussion in England. From now on, your vacation is over. During this period, you have to listen to me and do whatever I tell you to do. Do you understand? Qin Baiyuan spoke boldly and confidently. He even put on the airs of a superior. His words were especially forceful. But in the eyes of Shi Shujing, he was a complete hooligan with a very annoying face. I'm on leave. I don't need to listen to you. If I say you want it, then you want it. As long as you are still an employee of Blue Sky, my words are orders. In a rage, Shi Shujing shouted. Then I resign. Resign? Qin Baiyuan sneered. Rejected. Regaining the initiative, Qin Baiyuan's attitude was arrogant and nasty. You know that I'm a person who can do anything. I advise you not to hit a stone with an egg. It's not good to fight with me. Shi Shujing resisted the urge to scratch his face a few times. He was also very angry. Have you said what you want to say? Can I go now? No. Qin Baiyuan easily controlled Shi Shujing with the advantage of height and physical strength. He looked at her proudly with a sarcastic face. Do you think I'm stupid to let you find your adulterer? I'm with Gao Zhuqing, Qin Baiyuan snorted coldly. He was very disgusted. Don't mention that pimp to me. Nothing good will happen if you two are together. Don't think about seeing her in the future. Just stay by my side for the next few days. You'll sleep wherever I sleep. I don't want. Let go. Bastard. Let go. Shi Shujing cursed in a low voice, but he was still dragged into the room by Qin Baiyuan like a piece of cargo. As soon as he entered the room, he locked the door. The two of them pushed and shoved for a few times. Shi Shujing was forced into the room. They stared at each other. One was extremely angry while the other crossed his arms in front of his chest. He was calm and proud. In the end, Shi Shujing stared until her eyes hurt. She couldn't bear it anymore. Do you want to stay like this tonight? Of course not. There are a lot of things to do when a man and a woman are in a room. Qin Baiyuan's lips curled up. The more beautiful her eyes were, the more frivolous and evil she looked. Let me go, don't even think about it. After a while, Qin Baiyuan's body was slightly sweaty. He hated this sticky feeling. He pulled open a few buttons on his shirt and revealed his strong chest. I'm going to take a shower. As for you, he showed a devilish smile. Since you don't want to stay here, I have to take some special measures. Shi Shujing smelled danger and wanted to run, but Qin Baiyuan grabbed her and dragged her to the bed. He pulled off his tie and tied her hands to the headboard. She wriggled and struggled with her hands and feet. Let me go. Qin Baiyuan. You're crazy. Let me go. But what Qin Baiyuan wanted to do, how could he tolerate her resistance? The man was very strong. He grabbed both of her wrists with one hand and tied the other to the bed. He straightened his body and looked at her with satisfaction. This is what happens when you don't behave. You bastard, Shi Shujing cursed angrily. She truly had enough of this inhumane treatment. She felt like she had been viciously humiliated. Her heart was filled with rage as she screamed and screamed. I'm not a dog. You don't have the right to tie me up. Qin Baiyuan lowered his head. His beautiful eyes shimmered in the light. They sparkled brilliantly. His gaze was so gentle that it seemed as if it could drip water, but the words that came out of his thin lips were so unpleasant to hear. Of course you're not a dog. A dog is much more loyal than you. A dog can wag its tail and be grateful. As for you, you're a traitor. At most, you're cruel and unscrupulous. Go to hell. Don't worry. Bad people have long lives. I won't die anytime soon. At least I'll live longer than you. Qin Baiyuan looked at her angry look. He was in a good mood and a lazy smile appeared on his lips. Her gaze was sharp enough to cut him into 1,000 pieces, but Qin Baiyuan didn't care. He slowly unbuttoned his shirt, revealing his muscular chest. His skin was white but he had a full six-pack. The lines were clear. Shi Shujing was so angry that she turned her face away. Her face was red and she couldn't look at him. If you want to look, then look. Why are you pretending to be shy? How is my figure compared to Mr. C? How is it compared to your other investors? You've seen so many men's bodies. You should be used to it. Shi Shujing felt nauseous. She twisted her elbow a few more times. But the more she struggled, the tighter the tie became. Her wrist was in pain and her eyes were red. You're illegally restraining me. It's against the law. I'll definitely sue you. Illegally restraining me? Tying you up is illegal restraining me? I'm afraid the police will think that we're playing a game. This is called the love between husband and wife. It's not against the law. Qin Baiyuan's tone was full of contempt. TSK, look at you now. Those who don't know will think that you're enjoying it. But what should I do? Qin Baiyuan shook his head regretfully. Every time I see you like this, I feel like you're dirty. Even touching you makes me feel disgusted. Then let me go. I don't want to see you either. Don't struggle pointlessly. I don't want to touch you, but I feel that tying you up like a dog and seeing you so pitiful and unable to escape makes me feel very good. Do you know? Some fierce dogs should be tamed after being tied up for a long time. If I was too kind to you in the past and let you bite your owner, then from now on, I'll slowly teach you how a good dog should listen to its owner. I'm going to take a shower. Think carefully about how you're going to be obedient in the future and suffer less. He entered the bathroom. The door was still open. The sound of running water could be heard, accompanied by his cheerful whistle and singing. She was tied up here, but she could still be so carefree. The blood flowing in her bones was definitely not human blood. The phone in Shi Shujing's pocket vibrated. Si Wenchen rushed home after receiving the call. He asked anxiously before he reached the door of the room. How are you? Yang Yizhou was lying on the bed with the maid, Christy, taking care of her. Young master, you're back. Why are you sick again? I'll send you to the hospital. No need. I just had a sudden angina pectoris. I'm fine after taking the medicine. Yang Yizhou looked haggard and listless. I didn't want Christy to tell you, but who knew she? Do you want to scare me like last time? Si Wenchen said in a reprimanding tone. How many times have I emphasized that heart disease is not a joke? Do you really take your body seriously? I know, but it's not as serious as last time. If I'm really not feeling well, I'll go to the hospital. Don't worry. I've been alone at home for a long time and I feel terrible. Just talk to me. Si Wenchen sat down to chat with Yang Yizhou. The topic went around and around until it returned to Tang Tang. Is there really no possibility between you and Tang Tang? Yang Yizhou did not give up. Si Wenxin did not say anything, but his stern expression said it all. She's a good girl. You can't keep holding a grudge against her for leaving you. She did it to pursue her dream. Now that she has realized it and wants to settle down, can't you guys start over? Even if it's just a try. I don't mind what happened in the past. Chapter 130. Si Wenxin wanted to take this opportunity to confess, but considering that Yang Yizhou's heart was weak and she might not be able to take it, he decided to keep his silence. However, after a flash of hesitation, Yang Yizhou saw through it clearly. Her son was really interested in Shi Shujing. She couldn't understand why someone as outstanding as him would fall in love with a married woman. Previously, she thought that the other party was extraordinary, but after meeting her, she realized that she was just an ordinary woman. She was pretty and quite arrogant, but in general she felt that she was not as good as Tang Tang in all aspects. How could a woman who could be easily found have such charm? The more Yang Yizhou thought about it, the more uncomfortable she felt. She made up her mind that no matter what, she would not let them be alone, even if she had to pretend to be sick. Little Chin, you've always done things with propriety and never let me worry. But compared to business, I'm more worried about your love life. You're going to inherit the Si family in the future, and every move you make will attract attention. Don't do anything that will damage your reputation because of a moment of impulse, understand? Si Wenxin nodded. Rest early, Christy said after leaving the room. Before young master came back, Madam was in pain for a long time and repeatedly told me not to tell you. The doctor said that Madam's heart condition is also a psychological problem, so you should stay at home to accompany Madam. She's really lonely every day. I know. Si Wenxin went upstairs. When Christy returned to the room, Yang Yizhou asked, Did you tell him what I told you? Yes, Madam. But the last time you were sick, young master was already very worried, and now you're pretending to be sick again. It's not good, right? Young master is really worried about you. Yang Yizhou pouted. Do you think I'm willing? Isn't it for his own good? Anyway, don't let slip that I'm pretending to be sick. Delaying for another day was not a solution. Yang Yizhou was secretly anxious in his heart. He had to think of a way to solve the problem once and for all. After returning to his room, Si Wenxin looked at his watch. It was already past 11 o'clock. He felt very tired. Two women, one was his mother and the other was the woman he liked, had problems at the same time. Even he was a little confused. Lying on the sofa, he smoked a cigarette to calm himself down. Then he called Shi Shujing, but she did not answer. His heart sank with the busy tone. He thought that she was probably still angry at him and didn't want to hear his voice. Fine, I'll give her a little more space. Puffing out a cloud of smoke, Si Wenxin narrowed his eyes. His eyes flashed with a deep glint like that of a wolf's, and he sent a message over. Simple. I'm here, don't be afraid. He will not give anyone a chance to hurt his woman. When the phone vibrated in his pocket, Shi Shujing panicked because she was sure that it was Si Wenxin. She desperately twisted her wrist to struggle, but Qin Baiyuan tied it too tightly. The more he tightened it, the more painful it became. Her wrist must have broken the skin and it was burning hot. She was so anxious that she was sweating profusely. When the vibration stopped, she gently breathed a sigh of relief. Qin Baiyuan came out of the shower. His entire body felt comfortable. His hair was wet and it rested on his forehead. He was wiping his hair with a towel. There was only a towel wrapped around his fair and muscular body. It was loosely tied into a knot. Shi Shujing hated that devil's skin to the point of gnashing her teeth. Let me go. What's the hurry? Qin Baiyuan was very lazy. He deliberately slowed down his movements and walked back and forth in front of her. He even took a bottle of red wine and a goblet, sat on the sofa in front of her and crossed his legs. Pouring half a glass of red wine, he casually swirled the goblet, and Qin Baiyuan examined her with that pair of spirited eyes. Do you know what you did wrong? Shi Shujing sneered. It's my fault that I was blind. I couldn't tell if you were a human or a ghost and I just had to jump into the fire pit. Are you blaming me? Let's be clear. It's all because of you that I became like this. It's you who ruined my life. Now I'm just repaying you. Compared to what you've done, what I'm doing now is nothing at all. Qin Baiyuan, you don't have the right to imprison me and you don't have the right to insult me. I'm a human, not a dog. You can't tie me up like this. Firstly, I didn't hit you and secondly, I didn't scold you. I just wanted to use this method to have a good talk with you. What's wrong with that? This situation is all because of you. If you were willing to listen to me properly, this wouldn't have happened. Have you ever listened to me when I wanted to have a good talk with you? Before coming to England, in the hotel, I held the divorce agreement and wanted to have a good talk with you, but you... Go to hell with a good talk. Qin Baiyuan turned hostile and flew into a rage out of humiliation. Let me tell you, I'm not done with you. Don't think that it'll end so easily. What's the point of this? You don't love me and you hate me. Why do you have to keep the person you hate by your side? Don't you feel pain? Pain? Qin Baiyuan snorted. I'm already numb from the pain. Now it's time for you to repay me. Since you've done something wrong to me, then let your adulterer pay you back with money. Shi Shujing closed his eyes, suppressing his anger. Fine. I'll talk to him. As long as you agree to the divorce, I'll ask him to give the most benefits to Blue Sky. I'll definitely satisfy you. Satisfy me? How are you going to satisfy me? I'll only be satisfied if the two of you die together. Will you die? You said you only want money. What do you want? What do I want? Qin Baiyuan also wanted to know what he wanted. He also wanted to get rid of it, but he fell deeper and deeper. In short, he just didn't want to let this damn bitch go easily. He couldn't watch her live with her adulterer as if nothing had happened after destroying his life, unless he stepped on his dead body. The bloodthirsty factor in his bones was aroused, and Qin Baiyuan showed a beautiful but demonic smile. Money. I want it, but don't think you'll have it easy. Now you know how horrible it is to be unable to get rid of the person you hate? That's right, for the past 3 years, you've been pestering me and I felt the same way. I've suffered for 3 years and now it's your turn. This sentence made Shi Shujing shudder. The pain she had experienced in the past 3 years was like a nightmare. She didn't know how she had endured it. Now, if she had to endure that kind of torture for another 3 years, she would definitely go crazy from the pain. No matter what, she had to end it all. What Qin Baiyuan did tonight made her realize how terrifying and violent he was. Now, if she angered him again, she would definitely die miserably. She must calm down. Shi Shujing didn't dare to speak anymore. She lowered her arrogance and softened her voice. That's all in the future. We'll talk about it later. Can you let me go first? It hurts. Are you pretending to be pitiful? Qin Baiyuan rolled his eyes. This trick doesn't work on me because you don't deserve sympathy at all. Time passed minute by minute. For Shi Shujing, this was a form of torture. Qin Baiyuan slowly drank more than half the bottle of red wine. Only then did he seem to be satisfied. He stood up and walked in front of her. Shi Shujing subconsciously shrank back in panic. Qin Baiyuan immediately pinched her chin and forced her to look up at him. What are you afraid of? I said I won't hit you. Of course I won't force you. You're too dirty. His face was already slightly red from the alcohol, and he asked in a voice that was deadly gentle but also dangerous. Scold me. Why don't you scold me? Aren't you good at scolding people and going against me? Shi Shujing's chin was pinched by him. She was forced to open her mouth and show her gums. Do you know you're wrong? He coaxed her softly. At this time he was just like the most gentle person in the world. Shi Shujing didn't say anything. Her eyes showed weakness. She just wanted him to let her go now. She absolutely didn't dare to intensify the conflict. Do you dare to quarrel with me in the future? Her body trembled slightly. Do you think you're so great just because you have Mr. C? But you see, you're tied here by me like a dog. Will he come to save you? Shi Shujing, as long as I don't let go, you can never get rid of me. Do you understand? I'll torture you however I want. Don't ask for trouble. Qin Baiyuan flung her chin away. There was a sharp pain that almost paralyzed her. Good girl, he smiled and patted her face. Then he loosened her tie. The moment her hands were free, Shi Shujing wanted to slap Qin Baiyuan immediately. But she held back. She didn't dare. There were 2 scarlet marks on her wrists. The tie was stained with blood. Qin Baiyuan couldn't bear to see her like this. But he hardened his heart. If she hadn't struggled so hard, she wouldn't have ended up like this. She was courting death. He couldn't be blamed. Her hands were numb. Shi Shujing wanted to move. But as soon as she moved, it hurt badly. She was full of resentment. Where are you going? As soon as she stood up, Qin Baiyuan grabbed her and warned her dangerously. Don't even think about leaving this room tonight. Don't make me tie you up again. I just want to go to the bathroom. Considering that they were on the 20th floor, Shi Shujing wouldn't jump off the building to commit suicide. Qin Baiyuan loosened his grip. Shi Shujing went to the bathroom, locked the door and took out her mobile phone. When she saw the text message from Si Wenxin, tears fell down. She felt so wronged. He said that he was here for everything. Don't be afraid. But she was being tortured by the devil now. Where was he? Sure, Shujing knew that as long as she called, Si Wenshin would come to save her. But she had too many scruples. She didn't want to worsen the conflict. Knock, knock, knock. Outside the door came Qin Baiyuan's impatient urging. What are you waiting for? Come out. Sure, Shujing hurriedly washed her face. When she went out, Qin Baiyuan was waiting at the door. He couldn't help glaring at her. Do you have to be like this? Where can I escape to? How would I know? You bitch, you are very capable. After Qin Baiyuan finished speaking, he grabbed her hand and threw her to the bed. Seeing that he was going to get down, Sure Shujing hurriedly rolled to the corner of the bed. What are you going to do? Sleep? I don't want to sleep in the same bed with you. I'll sleep on the sofa. No? If I don't watch you, what if you run away in the middle of the night? You've threatened me like that. Where can I escape to? Chapter 131. Sure Shujing was helpless and could only try her best to distance herself from him on the same bed. She wrapped herself in the blanket and laid against the wall. Her entire body was wrapped tightly, only revealing her head as she stared at him warily. Qin Baiyuan found it funny. Do you think that I'll touch you? Who knows if you'll act up in the middle of the night? Don't worry. I'd rather call Miss than look for you. Qin Baiyuan laid down and turned around. His back was facing her, but he could still feel the two pairs of eyes staring at him. They were like light bulbs that made him uncomfortable. He angrily turned his head and warned her fiercely. Look again. Look again and I'll dig your eyes out. After switching off the lights, the room was plunged into darkness. Sure Shujing maintained her stiff posture and stared at him without blinking. Soon, Qin Baiyuan's cursing disappeared. His breathing became even and he let out light snores. He must have been too tired after flying for more than 10 hours, so he fell asleep immediately. But Sure Shujing was still worried and scolded softly. Bastard, scum. There was no response from the other party. She was sure that he had really fallen asleep and heaved a sigh of relief. The number of times they slept on the same bed could be counted with one hand. Sure Shujing had fantasized and looked forward to it countless times. But now it had become a nightmare. They were clearly husband and wife, but they had become enemies. She had to be on guard at all times. This feeling was really tiring. She had experienced too many troubles today. As she thought about it, she also fell asleep. She woke up a few times in the night, but Qin Baiyuan was still in a deep sleep and slowly fell asleep again. When she woke up the next day, a handsome face immediately appeared in front of her eyes, scaring Sure Shujing so much that she almost screamed. Last night they were wrapped tightly together and there was a distance between them. But now they were sleeping under the same blanket. However, the sleeping Qin Baiyuan was much more pleasing to the eye than usual. Up close, his skin was very fair and even his pores could not be seen. His facial features were also very delicate, and his eyelashes were astonishingly long and thick. When they rested on his eyelids, he looked like a child with a warm outline. When she was still a young girl and had her first awakening of love, it was this face that strongly attracted her. At that time, she had always naively believed that a boy with such a clean face must be pure and kind at heart. In fact, he was an out-and-out devil. But this had something to do with her. His temper only became more and more violent after they got married. Therefore, it was really hard to say who was right and who was wrong in the conflict between them. Ding dong, the doorbell rang. Sure Shujing quickly closed his eyes. Who is it so early? Qin Baiyuan cursed impatiently. He stood up, grabbed his hair in frustration and went to open the door. Soon he came back and threw a paper bag at Sure Shujing. Get up. Qin Baiyuan yawned and squinted his eyes, looking a little childish. There are clothes and cosmetics in the bag. Take a bath quickly and accompany me to the Henry group. After saying that, he fell asleep again. 1 hour later. 9 o'clock. Sure Shujing and Qin Baiyuan were sitting in the restaurant of the hotel having breakfast. Qin Baiyuan looked like a lazy guy before, but after washing up, he immediately became energetic. His hair was neatly straightened and he was wearing a suit, looking energetic and high-spirited. The women passing by couldn't help glancing at him. Occasionally he also winked at them. But Sure Shujing had no time to care about that. She suddenly took over the project of the Henry Group, and she had a lot of information to familiarize herself with. Therefore she complained that Qin Baiyuan was too capricious and only threw the problem to others, regardless of how busy others were. Anyway, as long as the eldest young master was happy, He didn't care about other people's life or death. When she was busy, she still had to serve the eldest young master. Give me the salt. Shi Shujing stared at the documents and pushed them over. Give me the jam. I want jam, not ketchup. Are you blind? Order another cup of coffee. Shi Shujing finally couldn't stand it. Your hands and feet are intact and the things are in front of you. Can't you take it yourself? Looking at her angry look, Qin Baiyuan was very happy. If I can take it myself, why would I ask you? You are my secretary now and your task is to obey me. Is the cooperation more important or passing you the jam? Can't you do both at the same time? Qin Baiyuan asked eloquently. How did you become the project manager with such little ability? It must be my dad who opened the back door for you. You really know how to make use of men. Shi Shujing didn't want to quarrel with him. Isn't the profit for the Henry Group a little too much in this contract? It is more than 2% more than the previous cooperation. Qin Baiyuan took a sip of his coffee. He looked calm and composed as if he was deliberately keeping them in suspense. After a while he said slowly. You must be stupid to read this contract. There are a lot of loopholes in it. As long as we seize these loopholes, we can ask for more profits from the Henry Group. If I don't throw a bait, how can he fall into the trap automatically? No matter what, I'm still a top student in finance. I graduated first in the whole school. Don't treat me like a good-for-nothing. I'm not worse than your Mr. C. When I reach his age, I'll definitely be better than him. Shi Shujing didn't deny that Qin Baiyuan was smart, but compared with Si Wenchen he was totally a scum. At least, Si Wenchen was calmer than him and wouldn't be so self-righteous. The real outstanding entrepreneurs were very low-key. Who would boast like that? It would be very superficial, okay? Thinking of this, Shi Shujing remembered that he didn't answer his call last night and hesitated whether he should text him back or not. What's wrong? Do you miss your adulterer? Qin Baiyuan said sarcastically. I just think that you don't need to compare yourself with him. You are not the same kind of people. If you really know him, you will understand his personal charm. Qin Baiyuan didn't take it seriously. He was even disdainful. *T personal charm. It's just an old man's pretense to fool stupid women like you. People like you still help people to make money after being sold. Stupid. Here it comes again. Shi Shujing changed the topic. What you did is a certain risk. It will be very troublesome in the subsequent lawsuit. Dai Shijian is a pig. How can he know so much? You go and read the news about him. He only knows how to eat and drink every day. He is just a fool. Why should we be afraid of him? Shi Shujing thought that if you scolded him as a fool, he might also scold you as a fool after reading those rumors about you. But Qin Baiyuan was right. When they arrived at Henry Group and met each other, Shi Shujing really felt that Qin Baiyuan was not exaggerating. They were both rich second generations, but at least Qin Baiyuan knew how to exercise and look dignified. Dai Shijian, who was about the same age as him, was a fat man with a big brain and a big intestine. He looked like he was in his 30s. When Qin Baiyuan introduced her, Dai Shijian kept looking at her with that kind of lecherous eyes, which made her have goosebumps all over her body. It was very disgusting. Moreover, Dai Shijian didn't talk about work. He just talked about women with Qin Baiyuan. All he talked about was eating, drinking and having fun, which made Shi Shujing very depressed. At night, when he followed them to have fun, Shi Shujing was also forced to drink several glasses of wine. His head was aching, and his heart was very uncomfortable because of the rumbling sound. On the way back, Qin Baiyuan was drunk. He leaned against the car seat and closed his eyes to rest. Dai Shijian had forced him to drink a lot of wine tonight. His tie was loosely pulled open, revealing a part of his neck, which was also red. He cursed in a hoarse voice. Dai Shijian is such a fool. It's so tiring to talk business with him. Shi Shujing pinched between his eyebrows. Weren't you having fun? I thought you liked it very much. Tonight, he had been playing with the secretary that Dai Shijian specially arranged for him. The secretary even sat on his lap and hugged him. She saw that he liked it very much. It was a typical case of taking advantage of others but still not showing off. Who likes him? But the kind of person you want to do business with, you have to deal with him in his way. Don't you understand? Of course Shi Shujing understood this. That was why she was most afraid of socializing. Every time she went to that kind of place to talk business, she felt that it was particularly against her conscience and her scalp went numb. Although Blue Sky was such a big group, it was still very hard to earn money. Stop the car. Qin Baiyuan suddenly shouted, and then rushed out with his hand covering his mouth. He leaned against a tree and bent over to vomit. Shi Shujing didn't want to care at first, but seeing him keep vomiting, she felt sorry for him and couldn't help but get out of the car. As soon as she walked to his side, a stench came into her nose. "Are you okay?" His stomach was churning and Qin Baiyuan almost vomited out his internal organs. This feeling was too uncomfortable. His head also felt like it was being hooked and there were bursts of pain and dizziness. After vomiting for a long time, nothing came out, but his chest kept feeling nauseous and he vomited acid. Shi Shujing patted his back. "Are you still okay?" Her soft hands kept caressing his back as if there were feathers brushing his heart. Her voice was not clear, but it made Qin Baiyuan feel very warm. For a long time when he was drunk, he was in so much pain alone. No one had ever cared about him and he was always the one bearing it. Outsiders thought that he must be very happy when he kept playing with women, but in fact that was not the case. He drank and played with women just to numb himself. Only he knew the pain in his heart. With one hand on the tree, he looked at her with teary eyes and sneered. "Don't you want me to die? Why are you still pretending to care about me?" Shi Shujing also felt uncomfortable when she saw his face flushed from being drunk. "I don't want you to die." "Hee, why not? If I die you can be with that adulterer, and you can get rid of me. Not everyone is as vicious as you." "I'm vicious?" Qin Baiyuan frowned and pointed at her face. "You Shi Shujing are the most vicious one. Do you know that you've ruined me? I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine. Am I wrong? There's no point in continuing to pester you. Divorce is the only way to be free." Chapter 132. Shi Shujing sighed. "It's good for you. Good for me, you're so great, but you know what? I won't believe you, really, not a word. I will only feel that you're hypocritical, you're cheap. Let me tell you, I won't divorce you. Don't even think about it. In this life we are destined to be tortured to death." Whether it was the truth or the drunken words, Shi Shujing didn't want to listen to it anymore and held him. "Let's go back." Back at the hotel, Qin Baiyuan fell asleep immediately. Shi Shujing took a shower. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning and she was full of fatigue. Qin Baiyuan was sprawled on the bed and his sleeping posture was very bad. She couldn't help shaking her head, feeling pity and hatred for him. She covered him with the quilt and slept on the sofa. The next day Shi Shujing heard someone calling her in a daze. "Get up. Don't pretend to be asleep. Get up." Qin Baiyuan kicked her with his foot. Shi Shujing was too tired. Every part of his body was sore and weak. He painfully opened a slit in his eyes. The drunk man from last night was now dressed neatly and stood in front of him in high spirits. His eyes were as beautiful as Satan's. "So tired?" Shi Shujing murmured and rubbed her eyes. Qin Baiyuan stared at her with great disgust. "Look at you, your eyelids are coming out. Are you a woman? Let me sleep a little more. What are you sleeping for? We still have to talk about the project. Get up." Qin Baiyuan grabbed a dress and threw it on Shi Shujing's face. She got up reluctantly and doubted the structure of Qin Baiyuan's body. Men's physical strength was naturally better than women's. After a night's sleep, he immediately recovered and then had the strength to carry out a new round of torture on her. She was so miserable. "Can I not go today?" Qin Baiyuan was tying his tie in front of the mirror and sneering at her. "Do you always give up halfway when talking about the project?" "No. Most importantly, it would be meaningless for me to go." Dai Shijin didn't talk about the project at all. He kept talking nonsense to me. I didn't like it and I didn't want to hear it. What's more, if I go, won't I be interfering with your lovey-dovey relationship with his secretary? You think you can stop me there? I can even do it with her in front of you." Shi Shujing blushed and cursed him for being shameless in his heart. "So, don't overestimate your influence on me. I won't change my decision because of you. You're just a tool. I'll take you wherever I want and put you wherever I want. It's all up to me. Just do your job properly and don't talk so much nonsense. Now get up quickly. We're leaving in half an hour." Shi Shujing entered the bathroom. When he was brushing his teeth, he called Gao Zhuqing to let him know that he was safe. On the other side, Gao Zhuqing was very anxious, but he didn't dare to call Si Wenqin rashly. He was a little relieved when he heard that she was fine. After the call, Shi Shujing hesitated whether to call back Si Wenqin. If she didn't answer the call, he would definitely think that she was still angry with him. Maybe he would suddenly come to find her. At that time, another conflict would be inevitable. After thinking it over, she sent him a text message saying that she was fine and asked him to give her a few more days to think about it. When they came out, it was inevitable that Qin Baiyuan would say that she was dawdling. In short, he would ridicule her. She felt uncomfortable staying with him for a moment longer. When they were ready, they set off. The car suddenly stopped halfway. Qin Baiyuan ordered Shi Shujing to get off the car and accompanied him to a famous flagship store. Shi Shujing was very curious. "Aren't we going to Henry Group? Why are you suddenly buying clothes?" "I have no clothes to wear." "Then what are you wearing?" "These clothes are bought for me by my assistant. They can't fully show my style. I don't like them." Shi Shujing was speechless. She knew that as a man, Qin Baiyuan was also very fond of being beautiful. He usually chose suits and shirts by himself. Every time he went out, he must make his hair very tidy and his beard very clean. He paid great attention to details. Thanks to his beautiful face, it was not strange for a man to love being beautiful. On the contrary, people would feel that it was the icing on the cake. It was a respect for others and a virtue. "Then you can choose by yourself. I'll wait for you in the car." However, Qin Baiyuan insisted on keeping her by his side. He forcefully dragged her in. The store was full of blonde beauties who all knew him. They lined up and bowed respectfully to him. "Boss Qin." Qin Baiyuan dragged Shi Shujing to a row of shirts. "Pick some for me," he still said in such a domineering tone, but Shi Shujing felt strange. "I help you choose? Are you sure? Don't you always choose your own clothes? I don't know what style you like. Just ask the shop assistant to recommend you. Are you brainless? Why is it so difficult for you to choose a few clothes? This doesn't seem to be part of my job scope." Qin Baiyuan's eyes twitched. This person was definitely his nemesis. He would not stop until he was pissed to death. "I told you to choose. Don't talk nonsense." "Oh," Shi Shujing was depressed. He randomly flipped through a few clothes. With a vengeful heart, he purposely chose a few pink, powdery blue and very feminine shirts. "These are okay." Sure enough, Qin Baiyuan pulled a long face when he saw them. "Shi Shujing, are you playing with me on purpose? You are not gay. Why are you wearing such fancy clothes? If you are confident in your manhood, it doesn't matter if you wear a little pink. I think your skin is fair, and these colors suit your complexion very well." Shi Shujing lied through his teeth and he looked very sincere. "I told you I won't choose. Look, if you don't like it, then you can choose it yourself." As he spoke, he pretended to put it back, but Qin Baiyuan snatched it away. He gritted his teeth. "Prepare to die if I don't look good on you." Reality had proven that trying to humiliate a beautiful man based on his clothing was a very stupid thing to do. Furthermore, Qin Baiyuan was not just an ordinary beautiful man. He was beautiful enough to cause the downfall of a nation. He was even more beautiful than a woman. When he wore pink, he did not look feminine at all. In contrast, his skin color was very good. He was like a handsome man in a Korean drama. His skin was like a peeled egg, white and tender. Even Shi Shujing's heart couldn't help thumping and he couldn't move his eyes away. Apart from personal grudges, Qin Baiyuan's face could really make a woman scream crazily. Her absent-mindedness made Qin Baiyuan very proud. His thin lips curved up and he deliberately spun in a circle in front of her. Of course, he knew why she had chosen the pink color for him. Because of this, he had to retaliate and let her know that she had lifted a rock and dropped it on her own feet. Standing in front of the full-length mirror, he straightened his body, adjusted his collar, and showed his slender neck. "Do I look good in this?" His mouth curved into a playful smile. Shi Shujing was deflated. He turned his face away and said against his conscience, "Just like this, it's SOSO." The female shop assistant's eyes were pink stars. "Boss Qin, this color is so suitable for you. It looks good and it suits your complexion very well." "Really? I think it's not bad. You wear old-fashioned clothes yourself, but I didn't expect that you have a good taste for men's clothes." Shi Shujing heard his sarcasm, but he didn't say anything. "Wrap up those shirts for me." The female shop assistant was overjoyed. "Yes, Boss Qin." Shi Shujing pouted. What a waste. But for young Master Qin, who was a spendthrift when it came to women, a shirt that cost tens of thousands of yuan was nothing. If he didn't dress up nicely, how could he attract bees and butterflies at night? Qin Baiyuan ordered Shi Shujing to choose a few more suits for him and went into the fitting room. Shi Shujing waited outside and from time to time she heard the female shop assistant exaggerate how good his figure was and flirt with him. When she arrived at the necktie counter, her gaze was attracted by a dark gray tie. Shi Shujing's first reaction was that this tie was perfect for Si Wenqin. She even imagined which suit he would look the best with. It would definitely look good on him. Are you interested in this one? Before she could answer, the female shop assistant had taken it out and handed it to her. Thank you. Personally, I think Bosch Jean is more suitable for bright colors. This color is too dark. After hearing her words, Shi Shujing remembered that she came here with Qin Baiyuan. Just now, there was only Si Wenxin in her mind. She couldn't help but blush. Just when she was about to put it back, a familiar voice came from behind. Miss Shi, what a coincidence. Shi Shujing was stunned. She couldn't be so unlucky. If it was a disaster, she couldn't avoid it. Yang Yizhou had already walked to her side and sent the shop assistant away. Hello. Yang Yizhou smiled, and her eyes fell on the tie in her hand. Is this for your husband or for little Qin? Shi Shujing didn't know how to respond for a moment. You're stuck between two men. Does Miss Shi buy 2 gifts every time you buy a gift? That must take a lot of effort. I just came in to take a look. Shopping is a woman's nature, but there are very few women who like to buy clothes for men. Miss Shi, you are so virtuous. Your husband must like it very much. Yang Yizhou kept smiling. She had the cultivation of a noble lady. Those who didn't know the situation would definitely not hear any sarcasm from her words and tone. They would think that it was a sincere compliment. But when it reached Shi Shujing's ears, it was full of pain. She didn't say anything and quietly put the tie back. What? You don't want to buy it again? But some things are yours and don't covet what is not. Otherwise the process will be riddled with holes and in the end you will get nothing. It will do no good to anyone. In the face of her sarcasm, Shi Shujing sighed. You have expressed your meaning very clearly in the restaurant last time. There is no need to say these words. I said it very clearly, but I don't know whether you didn't hear it clearly or you forgot it after hearing it. I just said it and you met with little Qin again. As a woman, don't you think you are too shameless? He came to find me, I didn't. Yang Yizhou was unhappy when she heard this. Now you are pushing the blame to him, saying that he is pestering you? Are you going to argue that you were forced, that you are also a victim? Miss Shi, I think you know very well that my son is a very charming man. He doesn't need to use any means to force a woman. If you are not attracted to him at all, it would not be on the news in Flozen City, and the whole world would know. Chapter 133. Shi Shujing lowered her head in shame after hearing her words. Wifey, how do I look in this? Qin Baiyuan walked over and pulled Shi Shujing into his embrace, planting a kiss on the top of her head. Do I look good? Yang Yizhou didn't expect the two of them to come together and was stunned. This sanctimonious person educating my wife must be Mr. C's mother. Otherwise, I don't know who would have the right to say those words to my wife. I'm Shi Shujing's husband. Qin Baiyuan, nice to meet you. Qin Baiyuan generously shook her hand. Yang Yizhou scrutinized him. He was a high-spirited youth, but he was still too young. No matter how she looked at him, he couldn't be compared to his son. This Qin Baiyuan was also very famous in Flozen City, mainly because of the scandals. He was a man with a messy private life, so she didn't have a good impression of him. Shi Shujing is my wife. I won't allow anyone to be disrespectful to her. Shi Shujing's face turned even paler. Even with his head lowered, he could imagine Yang Yizhou's expression. As an elder, she definitely couldn't stand such provocation from a younger generation. Madame C just said that as a woman, it's better to have some face. In that case, it seems to be beneath your dignity to indiscriminately accuse my wife of seducing your son just because you're older. I know my wife's character very well. She's a very charming woman, so of course there's no lack of lascivious men around her. She can only blame herself for being overly charming, but in the end, the fault lies with the lascivious men. Making a false accusation like this simply doesn't make sense. Where's your etiquette as a noble lady? Is this considered wanting face? Yang Yizhou's expression was already very ugly. Shi Shujing gently tugged on the corner of Qin Baiyuan's clothes, indicating for him to stop talking. She had never been contradicted by a younger generation like this before. Furthermore, Yang Yizhou wasn't a very sharp and unkind person. She was just angry, but she didn't know how to retort. After a long while, she squeezed out a sentence. I'm also thinking for both sides. It's best if it's a misunderstanding, otherwise it won't be good for either side. The conversation ended unhappily. Qin Baiyuan had been protecting Shi Shujing with one hand the whole time. He was very protective. When Yang Yizhou left, Qin Baiyuan let go of her and sneered. She must be scolding me for being an idiot. How could I speak up for you when my wife has betrayed me? Shi Shujing, do you know that you've turned me into a joke? She bit her lip, and only then did her tense body relax with a bit of resentment. I didn't ask you to help me. You deserve to be scolded. You're being scolded by your adulterer's mother. Even I feel embarrassed for you. Aren't you usually quite sharp-tongued? Why didn't you say anything just now? Why are you pretending to be a white rabbit? You say you are the victim, but do you think people will believe you? People only think that you are acting and they dislike you even more. Or do you only target me with your sharp tongue? You'll be terrified when something happens. The more Qin Baiyuan said, the angrier he became. You're just a bitch who bullies the weak and fears the strong. So what? I deserve to be scolded, okay? It's none of your business. You're my wife. Do you think you're the only one who is embarrassed? The whole Qin family is ashamed because of you. Yes. I'm a disgrace. You're the noblest, okay? After Shi Shujing said that, she pushed Qin Baiyuan away and ran out alone. After such an unpleasant scene, both of them looked gloomy the whole day. It was not until they went to karaoke at night and Dai Shijian found a few dancers for Qin Baiyuan that his gloomy face brightened up and he started to enjoy himself. Shi Shujing sat aside and didn't want to see these scenes. Dai Shijian squeezed to her side. His face was red and his mouth was full of the smell of alcohol. He kept pushing his fat body against her. Why don't you sing? I don't know how to sing. Shi Shujing forced a smile and subconsciously shrank back. Oriental women are really charming, especially those like you. You're very reserved and shy easily. Compared to wild Westerners, I prefer Oriental beauties. Dai Shijian burped and his mouth was full of the stench. Shi Shujing almost fainted from the smell. He really wanted to vomit. Shi Shujing already felt uncomfortable after giving him a few glasses of alcohol. I have something to do. I'll go back first. You guys have fun. Don't go. Look, everyone is in high spirits. Don't be a wet blanket. Henry grabbed her hand with his fat paws and touched her skin greedily. His eyes were full of lust. I've arranged so many beauties to accompany young Master Qin. You have to accompany me well? Shi Shujing tried to hold it in. You've misunderstood. I'm your secretary. No, not that. If you need it, I can help you arrange it. I don't like other women. I like reserved women like you. Dai Shijian touched her chin. President Qin and I have met before. He knows that I like beauties. He must want to give you to me. Don't you know that? It must be a misunderstanding. I don't know anything. Please let go. Shi Shujing pushed him away with one hand, but Dai Shijian's fat body was squeezed into a pile like an iron tower. She couldn't even push him away. She was about to suffocate from the suffocation. I'm here to talk about cooperation. It's not what you think. Yes, yes, yes. Cooperation has to be discussed. I won't beat around the bush. If you accompany me for one night, I'll sign the contract. How about it? Stop pretending. It's boring. Dai Shijian was getting more and more outrageous. Her body kept pressing down, almost pressing Shi Shujing's whole body onto the sofa. She panicked and asked Qin Baiyuan for help. But he had already left. Only she and Dai Shijian were left in the room. Dai Shijian was too impulsive. She showed her evil side and reached out to pull Shi Shujing's clothes. She was so anxious that she kept screaming. Let go of me. Oh, help? You like to play this game? Scream all you want. This is my place. No one will save you. I'm Qin Baiyuan's wife. That's even better. He gave you to me. I don't care who you are. Shi Shujing twisted her body and struggled with her hands and feet. At this moment, the door was kicked open with a bang, and then Dai Shijian's body flew out. Who are you? The person who wants you dead. Si Wenxin was enraged. He rushed forward and punched Dai Shijian until he cried for his father and mother, crying for help. Shi Shujing tightened her collar and sat up. She looked at Si Wenxin with misty eyes. The situation was getting out of control. Dai Shijian was beaten half to death. But Si Wenxin was in a killing frenzy. He kicked Dai Shijian's abdomen. Dai Shijian vomited blood. Shi Shujing was afraid that Dai Shijian would die. She hurriedly pulled him back. Stop hitting me, but Si Wenxin seemed to be under a spell. He only wanted to kill Dai Shijian. His movements were still very fierce. Don't hit me, please don't hit me. Shi Shujing was terrified. Please, stop hitting me. Wenxin, stop. Stop. Under her screams and begging, Si Wenxin seemed to wake up. Seeing her face full of tears and desperately shaking her head to beg him to stop, his brows furrowed. He couldn't bear it and hesitated to stop. At this moment, his hatred was enough for him to kill, but he didn't want to scare Shi Shujing, so he dragged her out of the room. Shi Shujing was dragged along, stumbling as she tried to keep up with him. Slow down. I'm wearing high heels. He suddenly stopped and pushed her against the wall. His body was like a bird of prey. His hands were on both sides of her head. In the dim light, a pair of red eyes reminded Shi Shujing of a horrible beast. He couldn't help but shiver. Why were you with him? I was talking about business. Who asked you to talk about business? Qin Baiyuan? Si Wenqin cursed. I'll kill him. With that, he wanted to settle the score with him, but Shi Shujing hurriedly pulled him back. Don't go. He didn't know it would be like this. Si Wenqin was mad when he heard that. He didn't know? It's not the first time he dealt with Dai Shijian. How could he not know what kind of person he is? You know what he meant when he left you there alone. Why are you still protecting that scum? I don't know, my mind is in a mess now. Since I'm fine, let's not bother about this matter anymore. You can say that now that you're fine. But if Tang Jun didn't see you with Dai Shijian and didn't inform me, do you know what would have happened? Si Wenqin gritted his teeth and his eyes were fierce. He really did something to you just now, would you still say that? Tears of grievance fell from her red eyes. Si Wenqin's anger could not be quelled. He wanted nothing more than to kill Qin Baiyuan with his spear. This matter was serious and could not be forgiven. However, Shi Shujing's cries softened his heart, and he tried his best to ignore the pain in his heart. Not every time something happens to you I just happen to appear. As long as you are still with Qin Baiyuan, this kind of danger will still happen. What should I do to make you recognize the reality and leave that scum? Shi Shujing lowered her head and kept crying. She gritted her teeth and didn't cry out, but she looked even more pitiful. Did he think that she didn't want to leave Qin Baiyuan? But Qin Baiyuan didn't want a divorce. What could she do? In the dark back alley the two stood for a long time. Si Wenqin closed his eyes. In the end, his anger was defeated by his heartache for her. He pulled her into his arms and held the back of her head. He kept exerting force, almost embedding her into his body. You always make me worry. Do you know how worried I was on the way here just now? Thinking of the 2 times you almost suffered, I almost went crazy. I never knew that one day I would be so worried about a woman who is not related to me by blood. But Shi Shujing, you always make me crazy. I shouldn't yell at you, but that's because I'm afraid that something will happen to you. I'm afraid that I won't be by your side when you need me. I feel sorry for you, do you understand? She cried silently in his arms. Every time he would always be able to melt away all her strength and pretense. In front of him she was so weak that she could not even withstand a single blow. So many grievances could only be shown in front of him because unknowingly, he had already become a part of her. Chapter 134. Qin Baiyuan was brought to the next room by the beauty, and she sat directly on his lap. Qin Baiyuan drank the wine and now he was very excited. The two kissed passionately, but at this time, Shi Shujing's face flashed in his mind from time to time, and he stopped moving. My secretary and Dai Shijian are still next door? Isn't that better? My boss and your secretary, you and I? The beautiful secretary took the initiative not only for the task, but also because she was attracted by Qin Baiyuan's charm. She was Dai Shijian's tool and also his woman. She kissed Qin Baiyuan's neck, but he grabbed her hand and pulled it away. What do you mean? Isn't it about exchanging female companions? Exchanging female companions? Who said that? This is the rule. Boss arranged that you and I are in this room, and he and Secretary Shi are in the room just now. They should be like us now. Qin Baiyuan was anxious and he pulled the secretary away and rushed to the next room. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Dai Shijian fainted on the ground. Si Wenqin brought Shi Shujing to the hotel. She took a bath and gradually calmed down. Walking out of the bathroom, Si Wenqin was in the living room. Under the light, his handsome face had a kind of gentle toughness, which made people feel at ease. I made a cup of tranquilizing tea. Drink it and you will sleep well later. Thank you. Shi Shujing nestled on the sofa with her legs crossed, holding the teacup with both hands, and her body warmed up little by little. Her hair was still wet, wrapping around her little face without makeup. She looked like a 14 or 15-year-old girl. Si Wenqin's heart ached when he saw her. His heart was full of tenderness, and he only wanted to pour it on her alone. She always made his heart ache. He walked behind her, took a towel and dried her hair. His slender fingers ran through her hair, and there was a slight heat and slowly Shi Shujing's face turned red. Her heart seemed to jump twice and she said in a low voice, "Thank you." At such a warm moment, she just had to spoil the mood by thinking of Yang Yijo and felt a little disappointed. "I'm fine, you can go back. With you here, where else can I go?" "Go home. Didn't you say your mother was sick? She needs to be taken care of. There's a maid at home." "But how can a maid compare to you? She needs your company. Don't you need it?" A simple sentence instantly broke through the defense line that Shi Shujing had just established. Her nose turned sour again. She needed him. She didn't know when she started to need him so much. She just forced herself not to need him and pretended that she didn't need him. He muttered under his breath, "I can do it alone. You say one thing but mean another. You don't know how much you want me to be with you." Her hair was almost dry. Si Wenqin sat beside her, cupped her face and kissed her pretty face. There was a gentleness in his eyes that could make people drown. "I won't go anywhere tonight. I'll stay here with you." Shi Shujing was stubborn and awkward. The more touched he was, the more he would say the opposite of what he wanted. "You don't have to be so good to me. I'm not a child anymore. I can take care of myself. But I like you. No matter how strong and independent you are, in my eyes, you're still a little girl who needs someone to take care of you." She always knew that he was good to her. But tonight he was especially gentle. Every look and every word made Shi Shujing's heart warm. It was so warm that she almost couldn't bear it. She was like a child who had been running barefoot in the desert. No one would care whether she was in pain or not. She just ran as hard as she could, thinking that she had been numbed by the pain. Until someone gave her a pair of shoes, she then knew how painful it was. The feeling of being held in the palm of someone's hand was really good. The sudden ringing of the phone broke the warm atmosphere. The name Qin Baiyuan flashed on the screen. Shi Shujing saw it and so did Si Wenqin. She quickly hung up. The phone rang again. Shi Shujing showed a look of annoyance. Si Wenqin was still smiling, but his eyes revealed a kind of coldness. "If you don't want to answer it, I'll answer it for you." "No need. Are you afraid that he knows we're together?" "I just don't want to get into trouble." After Shi Shujing finished speaking, he directly turned off the phone. Peace was restored, but the warm atmosphere just now was slightly destroyed. "It's getting late. I'm going to sleep. You go home first. I've said that I won't go anywhere tonight with you here." Si Wenqin understood that she couldn't say it out, so he took the initiative. "If you think it's inconvenient, I'll sleep on the sofa. Of course, I still prefer to sleep with two people on the same bed. After all, we've done what we should do. You don't have to be too polite. You won't get pregnant after sleeping for one night." Shi Shujing couldn't help blushing again. "If you insist on spending the night here, then I'll sleep on the sofa." "How can I let the woman I like sleep on the sofa? Who do you think I am?" To avoid giving her pressure, Si Wenqin stood up. "Rest, I'm going out. But there's no pillow or quilt outside. Get customer service to send it over. Are you worried that I can't handle such a small matter? Or, you just want me to stay?" The light shone on his face, outlining a beautiful shadow. That kind of gaze was burning. The two kinds of charm between a mature man and a frivolous playboy were perfectly mixed. Shi Shujing couldn't resist that kind of attraction at all. Her heart was beating very fast all the time. She clenched her fists and suppressed the throbbing in her heart. "Then, good night. Good night." Si Wenqin walked over, held the back of her head, and gave her a gentle good-night kiss. A soft and warm breath melted on her forehead, all the way to the bottom of Shi Shujing's heart. Her body trembled slightly. She seemed to be getting more and more used to being intimate with him. After washing up, she went to bed and turned off the wall lamp. However, the room was connected to the outer hall and there was no door. The light from the outside faintly shone in, and she could still hear his footsteps. Shi Shujing rested her head on the soft pillow, listening to the slight sounds outside. She felt very at ease. Even though she had just experienced a terrible disaster, her heart was warm and calm. As long as she knew that there was still a Si Wenqin in this world, she felt that nothing was scary anymore. However, she didn't expect that she would still have a nightmare in the middle of the night. She returned to that private room. Qin Baiyuan and the female secretary were beside her. She asked him for help, but he looked at her coldly and sneered ferociously. "No, stop, don't touch me. Don't touch me, help!" Shi Shujing screamed and sat up. "Don't be afraid, I'm here, it's just a nightmare." Dai Shijian's face disappeared and Si Wenqin's face became clearer in front of her eyes. Shi Shujing was still panting heavily, and she still couldn't distinguish between reality and dream. Si Wenxin held her face and comforted her gently over and over again. It's just a nightmare. Just a nightmare. It's okay now. She gradually woke up and touched her forehead, which was full of cold sweat. Her messy vision slowly came back to focus and she closed her eyes. I dreamt of Dai Shijian. It's so scary. I know. You shouldn't have stopped me from killing him. You have to pay with your life for killing someone. It's not worth it to go to jail for such a big fat pig. Si Wenxin poured her a glass of water and kissed her wet forehead. Go back to sleep, I'll be outside. When he walked to the door, he turned his head slightly. The little woman on the bed was curled up into a ball with her hands as a pillow, looking at him pitifully. There would be sequelae if she was frightened in the middle of the night. She must be panicking right now. Do you need me to stay? Shi Shujing bit her lips and hesitated. She still had her concerns. Don't worry. I won't do anything. Seeing that she needed his help, Si Wenxin got on the bed and lay beside her. Shi Shujing was not used to it, so she shrunk into the bed and looked at him with a pair of hands as a pillow. She was as pure and alert as a little white rabbit. Si Wenxin touched her face and she shrunk back a little. But after getting used to his touch, she did not hide anymore and became very obedient. Not to mention how pitiful her appearance was, Si Wenxin also felt that he had the responsibility to take good care of her. In his eyes, she could not be considered a woman, but a little girl who needed someone to take care of and worry about her all the time. His fingertips fell on her lips, and his teeth left a row of imprints on them. He slowly smoothed them out, full of tenderness and love, giving off a reassuring feeling. Didn't you say that at your age you would have desires for women? Just chatting under the quilt is also okay? At that time I hadn't met you. I didn't know that there would be accidents in my life. It was a very touching sentence. Any woman would want to be that accident, that one of a kind. Then, do you feel uncomfortable? Shi Shujing's little face was flushed red. If I say I feel uncomfortable, will you help me solve it? She blushed and did not say anything. If that was the only thing on my mind, I wouldn't have stayed tonight. I really wanted you. That night I tasted the sweetness of the flesh. Shi Shujing's little heart was trembling violently. She was embarrassed to talk about these, or perhaps she was afraid that if she continued, the situation would get out of control, so she changed to a safer question. You have a good relationship with your mother? She was my father's second wife, but they divorced after a few years of marriage. She went to England alone and raised me alone. It was only a few years ago that I returned to develop my career. Why did you divorce? My father thought that with his status, it was normal for him to have many women outside. My mother just had to obediently be Mrs. C and turn a blind eye to those things. But my mother was not willing to do that and would rather divorce. Oh, then you think so too. Shi Shujing was a little worried. These ideas are inherited. Why? Are you afraid? She was stubborn. What am I afraid of? I don't want to marry you, it has nothing to do with me. Si Wenxin only smiled and did not reply. Chapter 135. It's a common problem for men to like the new and hate the old. It has nothing to do with money. It's just that with money he will have more choices. Shi Shujing's face turned bitter. So, it's always the woman who gets hurt in marriage. Men are so cruel. Si Wenxin pinched her bitter face and smiled. Are you telling me, or are you hinting that I will be faithful to you in the future? Her eyes burned Shi Shujing and she felt shy again. Who is hinting at you? Of course I'm telling you because you're a man. Then I'm wronged. I'm not one of those scumbags you're talking about. Why not? You said it yourself, men love the new and hate the old. You're right, but it's hard for me to fall in love with a woman. Once I fall in love, it's not easy to change. Even if I really have a change of heart one day, I will tell her clearly. Si Wenxin will not do such a thing. Are you relieved now? Why should I be relieved? It has nothing to do with me. Shi Shujing was about to drown in that gentleness. That affectionate gaze could really make her sink and she turned over shyly. But Si Wenxin's body leaned over and hugged her from behind. He kissed the side of her neck and murmured in a hoarse voice. Shujing, give me a chance. Be with me. I won't let you down. The two of them fell asleep in each other's arms. Shi Shujing did not have any nightmares that night. Instead she had a few sweet dreams. The moment she opened her eyes, she saw Si Wenxin's handsome face. In a trance, she could not distinguish between reality and dreams. She only felt that her whole body was indescribably soft. At such a close distance, their warm breaths intertwined. In his breath, there was a faint tobacco fragrance and a comfortable manly scent. It melted between Shi Shujing's lips and gradually brought her back to reality. "What are you shy about?" Si Wenshin's voice was low and husky. It was very pleasant, just like the voice of a male anchor in a radio station at midnight. "You dreamed of me?" "I didn't dream of you. You're so annoying." "Little liar." Si Wenshin bit her lips. "Don't. You didn't brush your teeth, it's not hygienic." Si Wenshin was amused. "Are there so many rules between us?" Seeing her insistence, he could only drop the matter. "Get up and wash up. I'll ask the hotel to send breakfast up." When he turned to smile at her, she turned away shyly. "We've already had negative distance contact. Why are you still shy?" Si Wenshin teased. Annoying. It had been a long time since he had had a good sleep. Shi Shujing's entire body felt comfortable and he really didn't want to get up. After lazing around in bed for a while, he slowly got up, brushed his teeth and washed his face. Breakfast had already been prepared. Si Wenshin was sitting with his legs crossed elegantly, watching a tablet and drinking coffee. His eyes were focused as if there was a halo at the tip of his eyebrows. He was a wise, classy and cultured man, the kind that could make women's hearts flutter. He didn't raise his head, but he pulled out the chair beside him. Shi Shujing sat down with milk and sandwiches pushed in front of her. Everything was done silently, but it was the most meticulous care. After being married for 3 years, she was always worried about Qin Baiyuan. She was always busy, worried that something would happen to him. For example, he would make a mistake at work, or cause any rumors that would tarnish the company's reputation. But Si Wenshin was different. When she was with him, she didn't have to worry about anything. She could rely on him completely and pass all her worries to him. He would handle it properly without her having to say anything. She believed that any woman with a brain would choose to rely on a man instead of worrying all day long. That would be very tiring. Shi Shujing felt that she couldn't leave Si Wenshin anymore. Si Wenshin only put it aside after reading finance and economics and focused on his meal. "What do you plan to do today?" "I don't know. If there's no special arrangement, just wait for me here. If you're bored, I'll get Gao Zhuqing to accompany you." "There's no need. I want to rest." "You're going out?" "Yes. I'm going home." "Oh." Shi Shujing remembered that when she was brushing her teeth, she heard Si Wenshin talking on the phone. Si Wenshin saw that she looked a little disappointed. He put his big hand on the back of her hand and smiled. "I'll be back soon." The reassuring power in his eyes made Shi Shujing nod. She believed that no matter what obstacles they encountered, Si Wenshin would have a way to solve them. He never needed anyone to worry about him when he did things. It was nothing more than that she didn't want to cause any trouble for him. The doorbell rang, followed by a rough knock on the door. Bang bang bang. Shi Shujing's hand trembled and the fork fell back onto the plate. Her two delicate eyebrows knitted together. Obviously, both of them knew who it was, but Si Wenshin took a sip of coffee slowly, wiped his mouth with a napkin and stood up calmly. "I'll deal with it." As soon as he knocked on the door, Qin Baiyuan, who looked angry, was about to rush in angrily. Si Wenshin pushed him out with one hand and closed the door behind him. Si Wenshin's lips curled into a cold smile as he examined his prey. "Get your dirty hands off me." Qin Baiyuan shouted angrily, and the blue veins on his forehead popped out. He had been looking for her for a whole night. There were dark circles under his eyes and his face was blue. "Boss Qin, what are you doing? You're so rude to disturb people's sleep so early in the morning." The angrier he was, the calmer Si Wenshin was. "You snatched my wife so you're polite?" Qin Baiyuan shouted. "Give me my wife." "That's strange. Since she's your wife, why do you want her from me? Isn't it funny?" "Stop pretending. You took Shi Shujing away. Give her back to me. Even if you don't agree, you really can't take her away." Si Wenshin narrowed his cold and narrow eyes, with a hint of threat. "Since you've already thrown her to Dai Shijian, it means that you don't care. Why do you have to make a big fuss now? When you left her last night, you knew the consequences." Qin Baiyuan felt a little guilty. "I didn't know Dai Shijian dared to." "You didn't know? It's not the first time that Boss Qin has dealt with Dai Shijian. Don't you know what kind of person he is? This kind of deal is not uncommon in the business world, but I've never heard of someone who would give his wife away. It's really unbelievable." Even if I am, it's none of your business. Shi Shujing is my wife. I can give her to any man I want. What do you have to do with it? She's so cheap. Before Qin Baiyuan could finish his words, he was grabbed by the neck by Si Wenqin and pushed against the wall. The man who was indifferent just now was obviously irritated. Even if it was just a sullen face, it was enough to show that his anger had risen to the peak. He hit it too deeply, and the emotion he showed was just the tip of the iceberg. With his cold face pressed down, Si Wenqin's pupils were like whirlpools, circling with dangerous anger. A blue vein had already popped up on his forehead. Under such intense gaze, even Qin Baiyuan felt chills. The hand that was strangling him seemed to be able to break his neck at any time. Keep your mouth clean, Si Wenqin squeezed out a word of warning between his teeth. She's not someone you can insult. Qin Baiyuan was a little reckless. She's my wife. I can say whatever I want. Now we're husband and wife in name, but soon we won't be. Qin Baiyuan was annoyed. He pushed Si Wenqin away and waved his fist at him. Si Wenqin tilted his head and dodged it neatly. At this moment, Qin Baiyuan was like a rat that was forced into a desperate situation. He had suffered enough and was on the verge of emotional collapse. He roared furiously. What on earth do you want? Si Wenqin put his hands in his trouser pockets and regained his calmness. You know very well what I want. You should let go of her earlier. You don't have to suffer so much. You want me to give Shi Shujing to you? In your dreams. She's my woman. I'll never let her go in this life. Si Wenqin smiled lazily and shook his finger. You're wrong. You're not giving Shi Shujing to me. You're pushing her to me. Qin Baiyuan, have you forgotten? Si Wenqin was too lazy to waste time on such a clown. He lost his patience and pulled a long face. Shi Shujing is inside now, but she won't go with you. As long as she's not willing, you can't take her away. She's my wife. Si Wenqin replied with a disdainful sneer. The sarcasm was deep in his bones. Several bodyguards came over. He moved his finger. Throw him out. You're courting death. Let me go. Do you know who I am? I won't let you go. When Si Wenqin returned to the room, Shi Shujing was a little anxious. There's a lot of noise outside. What happened to Qin Baiyuan? You didn't do anything, right? Are you worried about me or Qin Baiyuan? Shi Shujing was worried about Qin Baiyuan. But that was only because Si Wenqin did not need her to worry about him. I don't want him to offend you. What did you do to him? Si Wenqin's eyes turned cold with a hint of anger. You're so worried about him. How could I kill him? She could tell that he was unhappy and coughed twice. I'm just, don't worry. I asked someone to drive him out. I didn't beat him up. Oh, I'm sorry. I've made you worry about me? Si Wenqin frowned. Are you keeping your distance from me now? Do you still think that your business has nothing to do with me? Shi Shujing did not know how to deal with his piercing aura. I didn't mean that. I just think, Qin Baiyuan and I are still married. I should deal with these troubles. I don't like it very much. If you interfere. Shi Shujing was anxious, and the more she expressed, the more confused she became. Originally, Si Wenqin was just a little unhappy. But now he was very unhappy, and it was completely expressed on his face. She looked at Si Wenqin in front of her. He had a tall stature, an introverted temperament, and was angular and handsome. He was a mature and steady man, but the words that came out of his mouth carried a hint of resentment. His unhappiness was completely written on his face. She did not want to make him angry. However, she was just expressing her thoughts. It's not the first time I've said that there's no you between you and Qin Baiyuan. If I didn't interfere last night, would that bastard save you? I don't think there's anything wrong with protecting the woman I like. You can say that I'm overbearing or stubborn. Anyway, this is my attitude towards you. Chapter 136. In the past few years, she knows too well the taste of giving for a person but being twisted and rejected by others. She feels very uncomfortable and softens her attitude. I don't mean that. I just want to solve it by myself if I have the ability. I don't want to trouble you. You have never been my trouble, understand? Shi Shujing nods involuntarily. As soon as she becomes docile, Si Wenqin's heart also softens. Men are often like this. They can be persuaded by reason but not by force. How can they be willing to scold someone they really like? He reaches out and touches her face. His facial features soften. The bodyguard is outside. Qin Baiyuan will not disturb you. Have a good rest and wait for me to come back. Okay. After Si Wenqin leaves, the room is quiet. Because it is big, it seems more empty. Shi Shujing takes a bath and has lunch. At about 2 o'clock, she receives a call from Gao Zhuqing, saying that she is in a hurry to return to the magazine and asked the customer service agent to send her luggage. Half an hour later, the doorbell rings. The bodyguard asks if anyone has sent her luggage. Shi Shujing lets him in. The door is closed. When Shi Shujing is about to tip, the man rushes into the room. He takes off his hat and beard. It turns out to be Qin Baiyuan. Shi Shujing screams in fear. Qin Baiyuan hurriedly covers her mouth and threatens her in a low voice. "Shut up or I will kill you." After making sure that she will not shout, he loosens his hand. His face is so gloomy that it can drip water. "Why are you here? Why not me? If not, how can I come in?" "Shi Shujing, you are really capable now. The adulterer has hired a bodyguard to protect you. As your husband, I can't even get close to you, right?" Qin Baiyuan sarcastically walks back and forth in front of her. It seems that he is full of anger and can't help punching her if he stops. "I don't want to see you now." "Of course you don't want to see me. Who else is there in your eyes except the adulterer? You can't wait for me to scram as far away as possible. It'd be best if I get hit by a car and die. Then you'll be free, right? Be reasonable, you're the one who let me down first. If you cared about me, why would you give me to another man? Who said I was going to give you to Dai Shijian? How would I know that he would?" This was indeed beyond Qin Baiyuan's expectation, but he still felt a little guilty and gritted his teeth. "Maybe you were the one who seduced him." His ability to invert right and wrong made Shi Shujing disappointed and ridiculous. "If you want to think that way, it's up to you. Anyway, in your eyes, I am also a casual woman. Don't give me that. In short, don't even think that I will help you too. The United Kingdom is his sphere of influence. I can't fight him. I'll settle this account with him in Quicksand City." Although Qin Baiyuan was yelling arrogantly, Shi Shujing knew that he was just trying to show off. "Come with me." Qin Baiyuan grabbed Shi Shujing's hand rudely. She dodged, but before she could escape from the room, she was caught by Qin Baiyuan again. His rough action angered her. "Let go of me or I'll call for help. There are bodyguards outside, you can't take me away. Let go." "Qin Baiyuan. You're my wife, you should go with me." "Qin Baiyuan, it hurts." "You're hurting me." Shi Shujing desperately twisted her wrist and in a fit of anger, she bit him hard. It was so painful that Qin Baiyuan let go of her hand. She took the opportunity to run away, stood at the entrance and stared at him vigilantly. "You go." Her body was against the wall, and her eyes were full of resistance to him. It was as if she would rather die than be with him again. Like a heavy hammer, she gave a blow to Qin Baiyuan. His heart suddenly tightened and it was very unpleasant. His angry face revealed a trace of pain. He never thought that one day the woman he once hated the most would actually avoid him like a snake or a scorpion, and this actually made him feel sad. The situation turned around and now it seemed so ridiculous. Finally, there was a crack in his arrogant appearance, and Qin Baiyuan revealed a little weakness. "I don't want to hurt you, why do you keep forcing me? Is it so painful to be with me?" "Yes. Looking at you, I will think of how you treated me in the past. Thinking of the hurt you caused me, I'm really tired." Shi Shujing sighed, and her eyes were slightly wet. "Let me go, I don't love you anymore." "You don't love me? Who do you love?" Him. This was the fact that Shi Shujing had always wanted to deny, but since she came to the UK, everything was out of control. The more she didn't want to admit, the more he forced her, and even his shadow appeared in her dreams. "I don't know if this is called love, but I have been moved by him and it's getting deeper and deeper. He really treats me very well and he let me see new hope. He made me want to get rid of the mud and start a new life. He let me know how good it feels to be loved. Enough." Qin Baiyuan couldn't listen to it anymore and interrupted him angrily. "That's the clumsiest trick for a man to seduce a woman. It's just because he hasn't gotten you yet. Once he gets you, do you think he will continue to treat you well? Don't be naive, he has so many women, what are you? Just treat me as a fool, I'm willing to believe him even if he let me down in the end, I will never regret it." The helplessness in his heart was about to drown Qin Baiyuan's heart. He was like a drowning man feeling suffocated. Every time he breathed, his heart was tight and painful, full of helplessness. With bloodshot eyes, Qin Baiyuan looked at her with red eyes, feeling that she was extremely cruel. This woman no longer belonged to him, and no matter how much he pestered her, it would only increase his pain and embarrass himself. "I'll ask you one last time, do you really want a divorce?" Shi Shujing felt that he was hurt, but she didn't think that she could hurt his heart. The reason why he was so out of control was because he had always been the one who hurt her wantonly. Now that she proposed a divorce, his proud self-esteem couldn't take it, and it had nothing to do with feelings. She forced her heart to be as hard as iron, looked into his eyes and clearly replied word by word. Yes, I must divorce this marriage. Good. Then I'll fulfill your wish. I don't want a dirty woman like you. After saying this, Qin Baiyuan rushed out of the door, and the sound of him scolding the bodyguards could still be heard outside the door. Get out of my way, get out. After a long time, Shi Shujing came back to her senses. Her little face was still a little pale, but her brain could finally work. He agreed to divorce? Si Wenxin finished his work in the company and went home. He accompanied Yang Yizhou until the evening. After taking a shower, he called Shi Shujing and told him that he was leaving now. When he was dressed and about to go out, Yang Yizhou stopped him. Going out? Not staying at home for dinner? No. I have something to do. Seeing that he was in a good mood, it was obvious that he was going to see Shi Shujing. Yang Yizhou felt even more uncomfortable in her heart. After the last incident, her prejudice against Shi Shujing was even greater. Shi Shujing's submissive appearance was definitely an act. He was very scheming and he didn't want his son to be too close to her. What is more important than accompanying me? Didn't I accompany you for the whole afternoon? Isn't it enough? Of course not. It's rare for you to come back. It's not too much to ask you to accompany me at home every day, right? Yang Yizhou was half joking and half serious. I'm your mother, the person closest to you. I didn't say that you're not. Words are no proof. You're a good son to stay and accompany me. In any case, Yang Yizhou was determined not to let him go. I called Tang Tang and asked her to come over for dinner. She's on her way now. Si Wenxin was helpless. Didn't I say it before? It's impossible between me and her. Don't make things difficult for me anymore. It's none of your business. Si Wenxin was speechless. The older she got, the more childish she became. Anyway, if you're still my son, stay at home for dinner today. If there's anything, we'll talk after dinner. Mom? Mom? Si Wenxin looked at his watch. It was 6 o'clock. He should be able to make it after dinner in an hour. Who knew that Tang Tang had not arrived yet? Si Wenxin gradually became a little restless. He got up and paced back and forth in the living room, looking at his watch from time to time. This was the first time Yang Yizhou saw him so impatient. She felt more uncomfortable than anything else in her heart. You have an appointment tonight? Yes. Is it very important? Si Wenxin said nothing. A man or a woman? If it's a girlfriend, I'll bring her home. However, not anyone can enter our house. She must be a girl with a clean background and is well educated and reasonable. Don't bring those messy girls to me. I don't have a good temper. If I don't like her, I'll drive her out directly. Si Wenxin frowned. It was past 7 o'clock when Tang Tang arrived late. As soon as he entered the house, he apologized repeatedly. I'm sorry, Auntie. There was a traffic jam on the road. I'm late. It's okay. Yang Yizhou greeted him with a smile. In her heart, she thought that it was better to be stuck in a traffic jam. The later she came, the longer it would drag on. Tang Tang greeted Si Wenxin, but found that his face was not good. He raised his head and drank a mouthful of wine. Since Shi Shujing appeared, Tang Tang felt that Yang Yizhou's attitude toward her became warmer. She even hoped that she could marry Si Wenxin immediately. It seemed that she really did not like Shi Shujing. For her, this was an opportunity. People were selfish. She must firmly grasp it. For the rest of the dinner, Yang Yizhou kept chatting with Tang Tang. Si Wenxin just listened and looked at his watch from time to time. Occasionally he would frown and show a little impatience. Such an atmosphere could not be concealed even if they wanted to. Yang Yizhou's face also became a little ugly. Tang Tang is coming. Why do you keep looking at your watch? I have something to do. If you have something to do, go ahead. I'll stay here to accompany Auntie. Tang Tang smiled and tried to smooth things over. What can he do? I don't know what has taken his soul away. Yang Yizhou's complaint was also a little jealous. It was common for a mother to compete with her son's girlfriend. Especially when the girlfriend was not to her satisfaction, the resentment was even stronger. Eat your dinner. Mom? Si Wenxin frowned. You're a little unreasonable. When Yang Yizhou was about to fly into a rage, Tang Tang hurriedly teased. It's a woman's nature to be unreasonable. Don't you know? A joke eased the atmosphere a little. Yang Yizhou did not scold Si Wenxin but changed the topic. Tang Tang is still the best. Why didn't I have a daughter in the beginning? A daughter is so considerate, unlike you. You don't know how to be considerate at all. Chapter 137. They chatted until 8 o'clock. Si Wenchen's scalp was aching. Take your time. I'll leave first. I'll leave too. I didn't drive here. You can send me? Last night Si Wenchen did not stay at home. Yang Yizhou was already angry. Seeing that he insisted on going out today, she was even more annoyed. But she also knew that everything had to be controlled. Falling out with her son for a woman he did not like, was not something she wanted to see, so she did not stop him. On the way, Si Wenchen drove very fast. Tang Tang teased him. It's your business that you're anxious to see Miss Sure. Don't put my life at risk. If something really happens, I'll be wronged. You're still worried about my driving skills? Usually I'm not worried. But now, your mind is definitely not on driving. It's hard to say. Tang Tang joked for a while and asked half seriously. Andy has always wanted to keep you. Does she know about you and Miss Sure? Si Wenchen's face darkened. I'm not sure. Paper can't cover fire. She'll find out sooner or later. One is your mother, the other is the woman you like. I'm curious how you'll choose. Will you be a filial son or a lover? I don't know. We'll talk about it in the future. Don't you think I have enough headaches? Even saints have headaches when it comes to relationships. You've always been resolute, but now you're starting to avoid problems. Si Wenchen was also annoyed. Besides, Tang Tang was a woman he could talk to. What do you think I should choose? If I were you, I wouldn't do anything that Auntie doesn't like. Miss Sure is married. Even if she's divorced, she has a disgraceful past. Of course, this is not my opinion. I'm just guessing the thoughts of the older generation. She will definitely not be willing to accept it. Even if you force yourself to marry her, that thorn will be stuck in your mother's throat forever. She hates Miss Sure and there's a gap between you and her. Even if you get married, there will be conflicts in the future. There are women all over the world, but there is only one biological mother. No matter what the situation is, I suggest you choose your family. Si Wenchen understood the logic, but the key was, Sure Shujing isn't just any woman. To me, she's the one and only. Tang Tang's heart felt as if it had been smashed by a hammer, and he felt a little suffocated. He forced out a smile. Do you have a common man's problem? You think it's best if you can't get it? No. We've already had sex, but I still want her, not only her body but also her heart. Maybe it's just that you haven't won her heart yet. Once a woman is in your hands, it's all the same. Si Wenchen shook his head. I thought you understood me, but it turns out you don't either. This sentence had a great impact on Tang Tang. His smile froze at the corner of his mouth as he asked with great difficulty. You think I don't understand you? If you understood, you would know that my desire for Sure Shujing is not as simple as just wanting him. While they were talking, they arrived at the hotel. Tang Tang got out of the car with a hurt heart. Si Wenchen drove faster and entered the hotel with big strides. When he reached the top floor, the bodyguard reported that Qin Baiyuan had sneaked in the afternoon. Sure Shujing was watching TV. Seeing Si Wenchen rushing in and staring at her, she was also stunned. What's wrong? What's wrong? I thought you'd left. There are 2 bodyguards outside. Where can I go? Sure Shujing was amused. She turned off the TV and stood up. You've cast an inescapable net. Even a fly can't fly out, okay? She teased him, but she was very touched by his nervousness. Si Wenchen also laughed at himself for worrying too much. His tense body softened. He walked over and touched her head. Sorry. I'm late. It doesn't matter. I have nothing to do anyway. It doesn't matter if I wait. At this moment, Sure Shujing was unprecedentedly cute in Si Wenchen's eyes. He felt that he had to treat her well in the future just because of this sentence. By the way, have you eaten? No? What about you? I'm waiting for you. But I have some fruit to fill my stomach, so I'm not too hungry. Oh, it's almost 9 o'clock. Let's order supper. What do you want to eat? Sure Shujing rolled her eyes. Will it be too difficult to ask a Western restaurant to make plain noodles? It's not difficult. As long as you want it, anything is fine. Si Wenchen had always spoiled his woman. Not to mention a bowl of plain noodles, even if it was the stars in the sky, he would buy it for her. 20 minutes later, the customer service sent 2 bowls of plain noodles with eggs. The whole room was filled with the fragrance. Shi Shujing was so hungry that she didn't care about her image and ate it in big mouthfuls. Seeing that she was eating happily, Si Wenchen was also very happy and gave his egg to her. Shi Shujing pushed it. No, I can't eat your egg. It's okay, I still have 2 more. You can eat slowly. Where are the eggs? Seeing the mischievous smile in his eyes, Shi Shujing immediately understood and punched him with her small fist. You're annoying. Her shy look and coquettish tone made Si Wenchen's heart race. He leaned close to her ear and blew hot air. When are you willing to let me eat? I'm looking forward to it. Dream on. Don't stick too close, I'm hot. Really? I'm hot too. She walked to the balcony and wanted to enjoy the night breeze. How could Si Wenchen let her go? From behind, he hugged her gently and buried his chin in her hair. Your body smells so good. I like your smell. Si Wenchen tightened his arms around her. Her body was very soft and he couldn't bear to hurt her. However, that soft skin made him unable to control himself. No matter how hard he tried, he felt that it was not tight enough and not close enough. He had just smoked and there was a faint smell of tobacco in his breath, which made Shi Shujing fascinated. Why is your body so tense? You're still afraid of me? I'm not. I'm just not used to it. Then you have to learn to slowly get used to it and slowly adapt to me, understand? Si Wenchen pulled her body over and his steel-like arms tightened around her slender waist. Her soft and weak body seemed to melt in his arms. Don't be like this. Shi Shujing lowered her head. She couldn't resist his charm. Just his breath was enough to make her confused, not to mention looking into his eyes, she would definitely go crazy. But Si Wenchen didn't allow her to escape. He held her little face and looked at her with a burning gaze. Look at me. Shi Shujing, look at me. One voice after another was filled with tenderness like a poison or a curse. Shi Shujing clearly wanted to resist, but her mind was in a mess. She looked up in a daze. The person in front of her was like a devil, like Satan, seducing her soul. I'm your man. Don't run away from me. Learn to slowly adapt to everything about me. Si Wenchen kissed her ear while she was half drunk and half awake. She was so nervous that she couldn't control herself. Her hands unconsciously grabbed onto his shirt and the voice coming out from her mouth was so weak that it was almost inaudible. Don't be like this. No. You want it? Si Wenchen's lips pressed against her earlobe. Look at me. You're mine. Si Wenchen's thin lips were pressed on hers. At first, she had some difficulty resisting, but he quickly conquered it. He moved around again and again to make her relax her body. Shi Shujing was still very inexperienced in this aspect. She wasn't Si Wenchen's opponent. His kiss moved lower and lower. It left her lips and landed on her snow-white neck, constantly hypnotizing her. You're mine. Shi Shujing. You belong to me. No? Don't do this. Don't. Let go. Her hurried and panicked resistance made Si Wenchen stop his actions and looked at her in confusion. The redness on Shi Shujing's face still hadn't faded, but her eyes had sobered up a little. There was some fear and resistance. Don't be like this, okay? You don't like my kiss? No. I just think it's wrong. I'm not divorced yet. Si Wenchen's nerves were stung. Do you still have a ridiculous sense of guilt towards Qin Baiyuan after what he did to you? No. I don't feel guilty towards Qin Baiyuan. I feel guilty towards this marriage, towards the Qin family, and towards myself. It's very shameful for me to do such a thing in marriage. You've never been married, so you don't understand. Speaking of this, Shi Shujing's feelings became more and more complicated. I don't say that I'm very virtuous, but at least I have a sense of shame. I can't be with you when I'm married. That would make me feel dirty. Moreover, I haven't thought about our relationship too clearly, and I don't want to be so fast. Didn't you say that you would give me time and take it slow? If I didn't take it slow, we would have been more than what we are now. Si Wenchen said this with a kind of man's aggressiveness, a kind of predatory desire that was determined to get what he wanted. Shi Shujing, I've given you enough time. You know it very well. Maybe it's time for you, but for me it's not enough for me to understand everything. It's not enough for me to think about our relationship, and it's not enough to get rid of the guilt in my heart. If you really like me, please respect me. This sentence made it seem that if he continued to kiss her now, he would only be playing with her, which pushed Si Wenchen into a dilemma. A man like him had always gotten what he wanted. When had he ever compromised like this? But in the end he compromised again. He let go of Shi Shujing and took a step back. Fine. I respect you. Thank you. But if you really feel uncomfortable, so what? Si Wenchen was annoyed. He swore that if she dared to say that he should find another woman to get rid of the fire, he would not hesitate to break her neck. Just go take a cold shower. He was holding back his anger and was about to explode. He suddenly became speechless, feeling angry and amused. What else can I do? You solve it for me? I don't understand. As long as you're willing to learn, I'll teach you. Shi Shujing shook his head like a rattle. I don't want to. Don't worry, I don't have such high expectations of you. Si Wenchen sighed helplessly. Chapter 138. Then, where will you sleep tonight? Shi Shujing asked in a low voice. Her face was slightly flushed as if she was drunk. On the sofa. I'm not in the mood after what happened last night, but chatting under the quilt? Si Wenchen shrugged helplessly. I'm not that pure. Shi Shujing, I'm a man. I'm not sure how long I can hold back, or when I'll suddenly turn into a wolf, but I really don't want to hurt you. That night, they slept in separate rooms and had breakfast in the hotel. Si Wenchen was afraid that Shi Shujing would be bored in the room, so he took her out for a meal after finishing his work. He said that the steak in a restaurant was good and he would definitely take her to try it. When passing by the flagship store where Qin Baiyuan bought clothes, Shi Shujing's heart skipped a beat and she shouted. Stop the car. Wait for me. She ran into the store. The shop assistant recognized her. Mrs. Qin, did you come alone today? Yes. Shi Shujing nodded and didn't say anything else. She asked the shop assistant to wrap the tie she liked last time. At first glance she felt that it really suited him. It would be a pity if she didn't give it to him. It was wrapped delicately in a gift box and placed in her bag. Shi Shujing's heart felt warm like a little sun. After getting in the car, Si Wenchen asked her what she was going to do. She just found an excuse, saying that she had a friend working there and was going to see her. The restaurant was located on a golf course in the suburbs. The scenery was pleasant and elegant. Everywhere was lush green, and the air was exceptionally fresh. Si Wenchen lit a cigarette and held it with his slender fingers. His legs were crossed and he looked relaxed. Plus he was dressed casually that day. His posture was a little yuppie and he had a different kind of charm. The air here is so good. Yes. Si Wenchen flicked the cigarette ash. I used to play golf here with my mom. She doesn't like sports. Golf is a little better. Oh, Shi Shujing's heart was restless again. There was a feeling of stolen happiness. Just then the staff's voice came from behind. Madam Si, Miss Tang, Boss Si is over there. The sunlight was a little dazzling. Against the light, two figures walked over. They were Yang Yizhou and Tang Tang. Shi Shujing panicked. Si Wenchen did not expect this either. He glanced at Shi Shujing and calmly stubbed out the cigarette butt and stood up. Mom, why are you here? Since you're not home, I'll ask Tang Tang to play with me. Yang Yizhou smiled and looked at Shi Shujing. This is? Shi Shujing. Miss Shi, nice to meet you. I am little Chen's mother. Shi Shujing shook hands with her. Hello. You haven't been home for the past 2 days. Have you been with Miss Shi? Is she your girlfriend? Yang Yizhou's question made the three of them feel awkward. Shi Shujing knew that Si Wenchen could not answer, so he took the initiative to answer. You've misunderstood, we're just friends. That's good. I've always wanted to matchmake little Chen and Tang Tang. It would be bad if he had a girlfriend. Since you're here, let's have a meal together? As Yang Yizhou asked, he had already sat down next to Si Wenchen. They were face to face, and the corners of his mouth curled up in a mocking smile at Shi Shujing. How long have you known our little Chen, Miss Shi? A few months. Then do you think our little Chen and Tang Tang are a good match? Mom? Si Wenchen could not help but interrupt her. What's wrong? Since we're friends, can't I ask how you feel as a friend? I can't be the only one who is satisfied. Only an outsider like Miss Shi can tell if you two are a good match. Shi Shujing smiled and responded calmly. Whether they are a good match or not is not up to me. It depends on whether Boss Si likes it or not. I don't care what others think, but as a mother, I'm very satisfied. I don't care about family background, but she must be a pure and innocent girl. I can't accept anything that's too complicated. Most importantly, she must have a good character and not mess around. Yang Yizhou snorted disdainfully. Not to mention marrying into the family, I'm even against dating him as a friend. I'm still very proud of my own son. A man like him can attract any girl, so it's inevitable that the social circle around him is a little messy. He doesn't know how to choose, but I'm very smart and I'll help him choose carefully. At this point, Yang Yizhou turned to Si Wenxin and said, "Spar with me?" Si Wenxin did not answer immediately. He first looked at Shi Shujing. She smiled and he nodded. Okay. The two of them left, leaving only Shi Shujing and Tang Tang. "Auntie is a little straightforward, don't mind her." Tang Tang comforted. "It's okay, I didn't take it to heart." "That's good. But from a mother's point of view, I can understand what she's thinking. I don't think it's a big deal as long as Wenxin likes it, but Auntie has her own thoughts. After all, you're married, and there are indeed a lot of unsuitable things between you and Wenxin. But don't be too discouraged. Auntie likes me very much, I'll put in a good word for you." "Miss Tang, do you really want to help me?" "Of course, why do you ask?" "If you really want to help me, why did you inform his mother when you saw me with Wenxin in the elevator that day? It doesn't seem like you want to help me by snitching." "What snitching?" "I don't understand. That day when we just left the hotel, Wenxin was called home by his mother. Are you saying that it's just a coincidence?" Tang Tang did not look guilty at all and asked her with a smile. "Why can't it be? Just because of the coincidence of the timing, you think that I'm the one who leaked the news? Aren't you gauging the heart of a gentleman with your own mean measure? Don't spout nonsense without any basis. Who's the villain and who's the gentleman?" "We both know very well, so there's no need to pretend. In fact, with your ex-girlfriend's identity, it's normal even if you don't help me. What I'm most afraid of is that you're pretending to be friendly, but stirring up trouble behind my back. That will greatly reduce my impression of you. As a war reporter, you should at least be open and aboveboard. You shouldn't play tricks behind people's backs." Tang Tang leisurely sipped his coffee and teased. "Does Wenxin know that you're such a sensitive and suspicious woman? He knows me very well. If you don't believe me, you can ask him. He definitely doesn't think that I'm the one who did those things. It seems that I've been a good person for nothing. You've done so many things just to get Wenxin back?" Tang Tang asked politely. "Based on your current relationship, he doesn't seem to have your mark on him yet. How can this be called getting back? Even if I want to get back together with him, what's wrong with that? You were the one who broke up with him back then and now you want to get back together. I'm afraid that Wenxin won't go back on your word. Miss Shi, you're probably still young and inexperienced. You don't understand that in a relationship, there are too many things that are beyond your control. Do you think that I was the one who broke up with him back then? Are you trying to say that you have your own difficulties? But people who truly love each other will stay together. If we break up, it can only be said that we don't love each other enough. There's no such excuse." Tang Tang shook his head. "One day when you have to give up on someone you love, you'll know how painful it is to have no choice. It's not as easy as you make it out to be." After a few seconds of silence, Tang Tang let out a bitter laugh. "I had a child with him, but he doesn't know." Shi Shujing was stunned. "I've aborted the child. Do you still think that the so-called difficulties are insignificant and that it's just that I didn't love him deeply enough?" There was a hint of sadness in Tang Tang's eyes. "Can you imagine what kind of difficulties it was that made me abandon my child? You won't be able to understand how much it hurt me. So, before you criticize someone, it's best to be clear. Don't stand on the highest point and judge as you please. In this world there are many difficulties. If you don't understand them, it can only mean that you haven't experienced enough." Shi Shujing was silent. She looked at Si Wenxin in the distance. Si Wenxin was practicing golf with Yang Yizhou on the golf course. After a few rounds, she laughed at herself. "I really have no talent in sports. I can't even play golf. Unlike your father, who is good at all sports. In this aspect, you've inherited his genes. You should thank him. You knew who she was from the beginning, right? I still have to train more. When you weren't around, I asked the manager to recommend a coach to me. Unfortunately, he didn't have time to come. Mom?" Yang Yizhou's hands that were holding the golf club stopped beside the ball. She turned around and smiled. "So what if you know? I know my son. From the way you look at her, I know what you think of her. You didn't have a girlfriend before because of Tang Tang. Now it's because of her? Me and Tang Tang are in the past. I didn't have a girlfriend because Shi Shujing didn't appear." Yang Yizhou felt that it was ironic. "Don't tell me that you've been waiting for her your whole life. I don't think she's that charming." Si Wenxin sighed. Since the words had been said, he didn't want to avoid it anymore. "Mom, I like Shi Shujing. There are so many women out there. Why do you like someone else's wife? And Qin Baiyuan's wife. Little Qin, you've never made me worry about anything. Why do you have to make me anxious about such a big thing? She and Qin Baiyuan will get a divorce. When? I don't know. Soon. She hasn't even given you a promise. What does she think you are? A spare tire? My relationship with her is not as bad as you think. Really? But at least it's not an open and honest relationship. I'll tell you what I think. She's entangled with you in marriage. This is an extremely immoral behavior. In the past, she would have been drowned in a pig cage. How do you expect me to look at a married woman who's entangled with another man? I understand what you're thinking, but enough. Stop it. I know you want to put in a good word for her, but I don't want to hear a word. I have eyes to see and I have a brain to think. I don't need you to tell me what the truth is. Yang Yizhou couldn't hold back anymore and directly showed her attitude. In any case, I won't agree to the two of you being together. But I want to be with her. I only want her. Si Wenxin didn't dare to say too much, but his attitude was very firm. Chapter 139. Mom, do you have to treat this as a multiple-choice question? Why not? She and I are incompatible like fire and water. Yang Yizhou was very agitated. Either you break off your relationship with her or pretend that you don't have a mother. Yang Yizhou insisted on his attitude, which gave Si Wenxin a headache. Let's not talk about this first, okay? Are you still hesitating? I'm your mother. Who is she? I raised you for nothing and you treat me like this because of an outsider? That's not what I mean. Then tell me, do you want her or me? Mom, fine. I can't control you anymore. From now on, I'll pretend that I don't have a son. Yang Yizhou was so agitated that she suddenly felt dizzy and fainted. Shi Shujing went back to the hotel alone and threw himself on the sofa. He took out the gift box and felt lost. He had wanted to give it to him after the meal, but who knew that things would turn out like this? He felt very upset. The waiting time was very long. When she received a call from Si Wenxin, it was already more than 4 hours later. She had been holding the phone, and she hurriedly picked it up on the first ring and asked anxiously, "How's Auntie?" At this time, Si Wenxin was standing in the corridor of the hospital with a cigarette in one hand and a headache between his eyebrows. The sun was shining brightly outside, but it could not shine in. The whole corridor was gloomy and cold and he felt cold all over. She's been rescued and she's out of danger. I'm sorry. I was anxious just now and left you there alone. It's okay, the restaurant sent me back. Shi Shujing felt that this was understandable. Is it because of me that your mother had a heart attack? It's none of your business. His words made Shi Shujing even more uneasy. Our relationship must have caused you a lot of pressure. I'm sorry, silly girl, didn't you say that I've been pestering you all this time? How did it become your responsibility? Si Wenxin tried to find joy in the pain. I'm a man and I should take responsibility. I've made you worry and the person who should apologize is me. Thinking of Yang Yizhou in the hospital, Shi Shujing indeed felt a lot of pressure. She thought that choosing Si Wenxin would be an easier path, but in fact it was more tiring. However, she was comforted by the fact that he had always been her protector, shielding her from all storms. During this period of time, you stay with Auntie in the hospital. I'm going back to China first. You want to escape? No. I only have half a month of vacation and it's almost over. If I stay here, you still have to worry about me. The most important thing right now is your mother's health. Don't worry about me, I can take care of myself. Si Wenxin looked out of the window. A group of children were blowing bubbles and playing happily. Sometimes I wish you weren't so strong. I'd feel sorry for you. The doctor reminded the patient that he was awake. Si Wenxin hung up the phone. Shi Shujing had booked a flight ticket for 2 hours later. It was 7 o'clock the next morning when they returned to Flozhen City. Shi Shujing slept on the plane. She was probably too tired and slept very soundly. When she got off the plane, she was still in good spirits and went straight to the company. When she entered the elevator, she found that Qin Baiyuan was also there. Their eyes met and she felt a little uncomfortable. Qin Baiyuan treated her like air. Every time they appeared together, the surrounding atmosphere became a little strange, especially in the elevator. Even standing at the front, Shi Shujing could still feel the various gazes from all directions. The atmosphere was unusual, as if everyone was holding their breath. Back at the office it was like a battle. Shi Shujing reorganized a little and began to busy herself. She had been on vacation for 12 days and a lot of things had piled up. She was busy until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then she breathed a sigh of relief. The secretary informed her to go to the director's office. Qin Yuning had brewed tea and was waiting for her to come. He warmly welcomed her. "How is it? Are you relaxed after such a long vacation?" Shi Shujing nodded. She felt very ashamed when she faced him. Qin Baiyuan had agreed to the divorce. Now she only needed to lay her cards on the table with Qin Yuning. However, how could Shi Shujing open his mouth when he was a loving elder like his father? The words were already on the tip of his tongue, but he couldn't say them. The more he held back, the heavier his mood became. "What are you thinking about?" No, nothing. The Henry Group's project failed." Qin Yuning snorted coldly. "I knew it. If I handed it to that evil creature, he would definitely not be able to complete it. He would drag us down. Actually, this matter is not entirely Qin Baiyuan's fault. Don't speak up for him. How can I not know whether he has a future or not?" Qin Yuning shook his head. "It's all my fault that I didn't teach him personally. A loving mother leads to a prodigal son. Look at how spoiled he is now. This is outrageous. It's getting more and more outrageous. Let's not talk about him. Shi Shujing, this time, Dad asked you to come here because he has an important matter to discuss with you." Qin Yuning handed her a document. Shi Shujing opened it and saw that it was a share transfer certificate. She looked at him strangely. Qin Yuning motioned for her to read it. Shi Shujing was stunned by the contents. "You want to transfer 30% of the shares in your hands to me?" As far as she knew, Yin Jingqi and Qin Baiyuan jointly owned only 20% of the shares, while Qin Yuning originally had more than 60% of the shares. Now, the situation had completely changed from him monopolizing the power to a three-way division of power. Qin Yuning nodded. "This is a decision I made after careful consideration." "You also know that Qin Baiyuan married you for the position, but he is too brainless to do things. I really don't feel at ease handing the company over to him. I think before he is fully mature and can take responsibility, you can look after him for me. I am indeed a little powerless." "No, I don't accept it." Shi Shujing hurriedly pushed the transfer certificate back, as if it was a hot potato. "I can't take these shares. Just treat it as temporarily helping me manage it. No matter what." Shi Shujing was now determined to get a divorce. Even if he couldn't open his mouth at the moment, it would only be a matter of a few days. He already owed Qin Yuning too much, and with the addition of these shares, it was even more unclear. "I'm sorry, I really can't agree to this." At the shareholders' meeting on Monday morning, Shi Shujing attended for the first time. Qin Yuning announced the decision to transfer the shares to her, causing an uproar. It was no wonder that the shareholders couldn't accept it. That was 30% of the shares and tens of billions of yuan. How could it be transferred to a woman so rashly? Even a daughter-in-law wouldn't be so intimate. After the shareholders went into an uproar, they firmly opposed it. Yin Jingqi was especially emotional, but Qin Yuning's attitude was very firm. In the end, she could only let it go. After the meeting, Shi Shujing was called to the office by Qin Baiyuan. As soon as she entered the door, a stack of documents flew towards her and smashed into the door behind her. She was shocked. Qin Baiyuan suddenly stood up and rushed over, shouting in front of her. "What do you mean by this? Didn't we agree on a divorce? Why do you want the Qin family's shares?" Shi Shujing's reaction was very calm. "Dad wanted to give it to me, I don't want it either." "What a joke, he begged to give you tens of billions. If you tell him about the divorce, would he still give it to you?" Previously he said it nicely, divorce, leave the family and even give me compensation, but now? Do you regret it? Your adulterer doesn't want you anymore, so you made a move on Blue Sky? All right. I pity you. If you want money, I can give it. But 30% of the shares, dream on. Qin Baiyuan was so angry that his face was cramping, and he went berserk in front of her. "You're really asking for an exorbitant price. 30% of the shares. Do you know what that means? This is the reason why you want to marry me even if you have to die? Just for the shares? Or is your adulterer's company going bankrupt, and you want to use Blue Sky's money to save his life? *CK. Don't even think about it. As long as I'm here, don't even think about getting a single share of Blue Sky." Shi Shujing's ears hurt from his shouting, and she was a little impatient. "What can you do if you don't agree? The shares are already under my name. I said I won't take it, I'm just temporarily keeping it for Blue Sky." "Keep it? Is this your excuse to lie to Dad?" Keep it, and it becomes Shi Shujing's, right? Who do you think you are? What right do you have to keep the shares for Blue Sky? Go and tell Dad now, ask him to give me the shares. If you want to say it, do it yourself. I'm very busy, and I don't have time to fool around with you. Shi Shujing turned around to leave, but Qin Baiyuan grabbed her arm and pushed her against the wall. The back of her head hit the wall, and with a bang, her vision went black and she almost couldn't breathe. For a few seconds, even Qin Baiyuan's face was blurred in front of her, but the roar in her ears was abnormally clear. Damn it. I asked you to return the shares to me, return them to me. Qin Baiyuan pinched her shoulder blade and slammed it against the wall. Shi Shujing had no doubt that he would kill her for the shares. Return them to me. Qin Baiyuan vented his anger, but Shi Shujing refused to let go. In the end, he also realized that it was useless for him to force Shi Shujing. He slammed her to the ground, looked down at her face and gritted his teeth. You bitch with a heart of a snake and scorpion. I regret that I didn't see you clearly earlier and kicked you out. Shi Shujing was in great pain, but she didn't even frown, as if she didn't feel anything. She stood up calmly. I'll go to work first. The moment she walked out of the office, her eyes turned red. She covered her mouth and closed her eyes to prevent the tears from flowing out. The Qin family's night was also destined to be a restless night. Yin Jingqi had been arguing with Qin Yuning about the shares for more than an hour. Shi Shujing, who was sitting at the side, also suffered a lot of insults. Qin Yuning frowned. How many times have I said that the transfer of shares is my decision, and it has nothing to do with Shi Shujing? Don't you understand human language? I don't understand human language? I think there's something wrong with your brain. Blue Sky is an industry that the Qin family has worked hard to establish for generations. You casually gave it to an outsider. If the Qin family's ancestors find out about this, they won't let you off even if they become ghosts. Nonsense. Dad, you've always been biased towards Shi Shujing. Forget it, but 30% of the shares is a big deal. You can't make such a rash decision. This is my decision after careful consideration. It would be rash to give the shares to you. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.